All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Tuesday night edition of the Gaming After Dark podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Boom Boom Kaboom. It's Noof Nukem in the room, and as always, I'm here with my outstanding panel, the one, the only, the man who brings the comment back, the sense Titan Drago. How are you, brother?
I'm great, thanks. What's going on, everybody? You know what? It's I've had a great week off, but now I'm back, baby. That's right. My vacation was awesome over spring break. I patched my wounds from losing in my own corner 2 weeks ago, and now this week I'm back for revenge. So let's get to it.
All right. Well, hopefully you heard what Tony Baloney had to say about you taking last week off. He had some choice words for you there, but we are ready to roll. And speaking of the man who brings Tony Baloney to life, the man who gets loud and proud, we are talking about the one, the only, the middle-aged game guy. What is up, brother?
Hey, well, good evening, Noof. Good evening, chat, panel, and of course, our esteemed guest, the man with a million himself, Randall Thor. Guys, we have a great show for you tonight. We got some great topics, got some great things to get into, so let's just get right into it then.
Indeed. And speaking of that, yes, we do have the one, the only, the man who is almost synonymous with Xbox, one of their biggest fans, devout followers, and certainly a guy to pay attention to in our community. If you know anything at all, you should definitely know the name. He is the man with the million. It is the one, the only, Randall Thor, one half of the Xbox 2 podcast. So welcome to the show, Rand. We are honored to have you in the show tonight. You always bring fantastic knowledge and insight on all things that are happening in gaming, but especially Xbox.
Hey man, thanks for having me, Noof. It's been a while since I've done your podcast, although I don't think it was Gaming After Dark at the time. But I'm excited to be on. I haven't talked to Titan Drago in a bit. You know, him bringing the comment back to sense. I'm sure he's going to have a lot to say about the PlayStation stuff because we all know Titan loves Jim Ryan and PlayStation.
You already know.
You know, and I got the podcast not that long ago with the middle-aged game guy, and he is a rising star. So cheers, I'm excited to be here. I just popped into RDX to say a couple things to my guys over there, and now it's time for Gaming After Dark. 9 p.m. here, my time, a little bit late, but that's okay. We'll get it done, and hopefully we entertain everybody listening.
That's
well,
right.
his rising stardom ain't going to be the only thing rising. His voice is going to be rising.
Fuck off. Yeah, okay, here we go. All right, great. Fantastic. Thank you.
We'll get that one out of the way later.
Rand, I got to ask you a quick question. When you were on RDX, did Zocker play?
Zocker wasn't there, which is why the show was so good.
Oh, I didn't listen to it. I always listened to it the next day. Damn it. So he didn't play the soundbite of you?
No, I guess Zocker got the second COVID shot and got wiped out. So
okay, fair enough.
You know, it happens. It happens.
Yeah, no Zocker, no Tim Dog tonight.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said no Zocker and no Tim Dog. They're a little bit light on.
No, Tim was there. Tim was there.
When I checked it out, he wasn't there unless he came in late or something.
I was on,
Tim caught actual COVID and he didn't even miss an episode.
I was on primetime with him last night. So,
what was it people say if you've ever played with a controller that was on display at like an EB Games? Remember, like back in the day when they had the Wii's and stuff set up. It's like if you can handle those controllers and not get sick, you can handle anything.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Yeah.
Right?
Rand, are we still going to call you the man with the million, or are we going to call you the man with the 80K, man?
Hey, the man with the million. Thank you. The man with the million always sounds better. But one day, the man with maybe I can call myself the man with 2 million. 1 million gamers scored and 1 million subs.
I gotta ask
the man with 1,080,000. All right.
So I gotta ask though, Rand, is that your catch line when you go to the bar to pick up the ladies? I'm the man with the million. They think it's $1 million. And when you say it's gamer score, they give you a slap.
Yeah, and they're like, "What's gamer score? You like video games?" Turn their back on you. But they say, "Well, wait a minute. I make money on YouTube," and they're like, "How much?"
Oh, let's come back.
Just tell them you're ninja. It's fine.
Wouldn't you like to know? You're like, yeah, and I don't need an OnlyFans to do it, right?
Yeah. So it's like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a video producer.
There you go. See, Rand is a smart cat, let me tell you.
He's a word seamstress.
Let's catch up with the chat, guys, real quick. I want to keep this on pace. I'm going to try to get as many hellos in there as I can, and then we'll move on with the topics, try to get into, because we have our regular segments. Ask Arnold, Drago's Corner, and then, of course, Tony Baloney to end out the show. So Spider-Man 356 was the first guy to swing in tonight. What's going on, Spider-Man? Thanks for being here. Draven Arrow's in the house. We got Doggy Dog is in the house. What's going on, brother? How are you? We got Monster 530. Can't stay very long, but wanted to stop in to say hello. We got Crispy Rambo. We got G-Bone 117. We have got... who else we got? Casket Repair. What a great dude, man. I got to give him a special shout out because I'm going through my Xbox messages last week. I hadn't checked them for a couple of days. I get a message, right? And in this message, just like Casket Repair, kind of thanks for all you do. And I find a freaking code for Outriders, dude. He gives me a free game. Like, unbelievable. Like I said, this community leaves me speechless time and time again. Like, I had asked for nothing. This guy gives me a game all because... I don't know, because he just felt like it. That's freaking awesome, man. So kudos to you, Casket Man. You deserve the shout out, and I hope that I can return the favor to you someday, man. That's awesome. Pure Flack Monkey, what's going on, brother? How are you? Let's move down the list. Tony Grasso, what is happening? We got Dirt Griggity's in the house. Yes, from the We Bleed Green podcast. Six Slayer is here. What's going on, Slick? Fan of Kraken's up here. He was our guest last week. That was a good show. Moving down the list again. Slinky M, Wild Bates. We got Union Jack. What's happening? Ryan Galloway is here. Prophet is in the house. Joe no, you got to say it, Mag.
Joe Dunmore. He's here. Yes, he is here.
Yes, Pong Soul, the man himself. He's making some waves in the podcast community lately. Love what they're doing on Saturday morning with the my God, I can't speak tonight. Living Split Screen podcast with him and Steel Rain. Good stuff, boys. Keep it up. We got Power Man 4K is happening here. Doggy Dog comes back with a super chat right out of the way. $1.99. Good evening, panel and chat. We got Jay Rembert. What's happening? I'm almost done here, guys. We got Deck. Dreadpool is in the house. What's going on? Kylo Milo is here. Our lady favorite, Assassin Lupa, graces us with her presence. Toolman's in the house. Matthew Paris. We got Platanoge. I think it is. Platanoge. I don't know. Could be, but I'll go for that. Jack Chaos. It's your boy, Matty P. Jesse Darby's in the house. ACS Husk is here, and he's dropping $2. He says, cheers, fellas. That is all. Thank you, Husk. You're a good dude. Mike Sperling. Holy man, there's a lot of new faces tonight. Tip Top Dalton. What's going on? Long time no see. The Doctor's here. Yes, you can't have a podcast without the Doctor. Psychonauts is in the house. I think I've caught up with everybody. Holy crap.
Butt play Doctor. All right.
Oh, yeah. Don't worry. I'm sure he's got some cooking up his sleeve tonight.
I played 2K with Pong Soul the other day. It was me, Pong Soul, I think Gaming Forte, and Dealer. Pong Soul's pretty damn good at 2K.
Jeez.
Pretty damn good. I think.
Yeah, but you suck, so.
NBA
me?
or
I don't know about that.
NBA 2K or Gold?
NBA 2K.
Okay, I was going to say.
Dealer's got us all hooked on it,
Hey, are you going to join that the baseball league that's going to be going around on Twitter here?
Probably not.
No?
I'm out.
I can't wait for that. I'm definitely on it. Mag, how about you? Or is anyone in the chat? Let me know if anyone in the chat is
for MLB the show.
Me and Drago are enemies because he's a Vikings fan and I'm a Bears fan.
It's true.
Although the Bears have been a laughing stock. And Ryan Pace and
you might as well not even mention that.
Although as long as the Vikings lose, I don't really care.
That's right.
Exactly, I agree with that statement.
Vikings got the
Titan. I will join.
Made some nice. Vikings made some ridiculous signs over the offseason, though. Patrick Peterson. So I hope you're shaking in your boots there.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to be your quarterback, anyways?
I don't know. You tell me.
Exactly. Crickets. That's scary.
All right, guys. All right. Yes, let's get on with some of the gaming topics. So this one's more of a speculation than anything. But as they say, where there's smoke, there's fire. And if anybody knows about some of these things and can certainly weigh in, it would be Randall Thor, who has gotten some of these predictions and speculations right on many a times, either through his own 2 cents on the matter or through some awesome sources. So this one obviously comes out. And we've kind of speculated before. And of course, people are looking at Phil Spencer and the shelf now very closely these days with a fine magnifying scope. And there is some rumors going around that potentially Xbox might be up to something with Nintendo. We know they've had sort of a relationship over the past little while where we've seen some of the Xbox games come to the Nintendo Switch. Things like originally started on Xbox, like Cuphead and Ori and a few different games come over to that particular platform, although they sort of had a limited time, at least, Xbox exclusivity. So it was great for Nintendo. But what if there is something cooking in the fire between Nintendo and Xbox? And probably the biggest one and the biggest speculation tends to be that potentially Game Pass could come to Nintendo Switch, whether it's the current console or the proposed Nintendo Switch Pro that they've been talking about. I mean, what does this mean for Nintendo and Xbox? My 2 cents real quick is I'd say it's a bigger deal for Xbox than Nintendo, simply for the fact Nintendo is doing well, it seems to be, in just about any market they land in, whereas Xbox has notoriously struggled overseas. In the land of the rising sun, in the home of Nintendo, Xbox has a hard time breaking ground there, no matter what they do, no matter what marketing campaigns, no matter how much money they've tossed behind JRPGs and Japanese developers. We've sort of seen a little bit of a stagnant. They made strides. Don't get me wrong, definitely big strides, but not nearly as close. If you look at the type of numbers they do console wise, even though we know that's largely irrelevant, still the user base will help certainly products get more mass appeal. And we do know in the land of the rising sun, in the Asian markets, that cell phone gaming in particular and the Nintendo Switch are doing very well. So there's a massive untapped market for Xbox products. The thing is, you have to get in the market, and this could be one way in. I'm going to start with our guest on this one. Rand, again, where there's smoke, there's fire. Do you think there is anything up? Do you think there could possibly be something happening with Xbox and Nintendo? And maybe it's got nothing to do with Game Pass. And how do you see it working out for both companies if something was to go through?
All right, so this is an interesting one. Where to begin? Okay, so I'll say that there is something happening, right? And I'm not going to say if that's my own prediction or stuff I've heard, because I'll let people just speculate and guess on that. Mm-hmm. I'm more interested in what it potentially could be, because from what I understand, Microsoft and Nintendo have been talking for years. And we all know Phil Spencer wants to put Game Pass everywhere. It's Microsoft's plan. I mean, he even said when they confirmed the Bethesda games were exclusive that, hey, we're going to put these Bethesda games on, platforms where Game Pass exists. Didn't rule out the Nintendo Switch. Didn't rule out the PlayStation. I think PlayStation is highly unlikely at this stage in the game. Maybe it happens later on. But I think there's a chance you could see the Game Pass library, maybe a heavily curated version of it. So my thinking is, because when you do make a deal like this, you have to also look at it as, what is Nintendo getting out of it, right? We know what Microsoft is getting. They want to grow Xbox Game Pass. They want to get to 30 million subscribers, then 40 million, then 50 million, then 60 million, right? And putting Game Pass on the Switch would let Xbox users essentially use the Switch as a portable Xbox, instead of like your mobile phone, right? An actual portable machine that is used for gaming. But then you also get access to the 70 million plus of the Switch user base.
Yeah.
And then the 20 million or so that they've actually have in Japan. So it could give Microsoft that inroad in Japan, and a bunch of people on the Switch who normally don't really get big AAA games because the Switch is really underpowered might be like, you know what? I'm going to subscribe to Xbox. They got, Fable, they got Halo, they got Avowed, they got all these games. And Microsoft not only increases their subscriber count, which goes to their ultimate goal, and then they can use that money from the subscriptions to essentially fund more games, buy more studios, get bigger AAA games on Game Pass day one for the Xbox console owners. So you understand why Microsoft would want to do it from a business perspective, right? Nintendo a little bit is not so sure on, because Nintendo, like, they're the protectors of the Switch user base. Nintendo's been through ups and downs. The Wii U sold a shit ton, and then the Wii sold a shit ton. The Wii U was an utter failure. Now they're back with the Switch, and they might be a little bit more protective of saying, you know what? we curated all this. We've done this hard work of getting people to enjoy the Switch and buy it in record numbers and pay for software. Why are we going to let Microsoft essentially sell Xbox Game Pass to our customers? And that's interesting to think of. So for Nintendo, that'd have to be some sort of like, hey, you get an X percentage of subscriptions. You also get these games that would never hit your platform. Maybe some Xbox users up in the millions or something could potentially buy your hardware who never would have bought it, and then you could sell them, software from Nintendo's first party. So I think we understand like what Microsoft and Nintendo will get out of it, but that's just the one thing. So the Game Pass thing could be the thing that actually they announce later in the year. However, you always have to look at it from multiple different angles. Maybe it's Halo Master Chief Collection coming to Switch with Master Chief being announced for Smash. Because Master Chief has always been announced for kind of been rumored for Smash. There was that official, the Instagram account for Halo tweeted out a picture of Mario as Master Chief. So maybe they bring Master Chief Collection to the Switch, and they bring him to Smash Brothers, which would be a big announcement. Or you can look at it as a more general thing. Like a couple years ago, we know that Sony signed a deal with Microsoft to use their servers in the future.
Right.
Maybe Nintendo made the same deal with Microsoft, where Nintendo is going to be like, going forward, when we do cloud gaming stuff, we're going to partner with Microsoft's Azure. And that could be an announcement that isn't exciting for us as consumers, like a Game Pass on Switch would be, but it would certainly be, furthering Microsoft's goals of, making money on gaming and making Azure one of the biggest cloud platforms in the world. So I could definitely see any of those three scenarios happening. I'm curious to see, because I'm curious what Titan's going to say about this, because I've kind of sent feelers out there to people I know that are hardcore Xbots, and Titan's a hardcore Xbot, right? How would you feel if Nintendo Switch got every Xbox exclusive as part of Game Pass? Because I'm curious to see what you would think. Would you be okay with it, or would you just be like, whatever?
Yeah, just before he answers that, Pong Soul definitely has a point in the chat. He says, at Randall Thor, I would never buy a Switch, but if Game Pass hits Nintendo, I would, and I know others that in the same boat, and I agree with them. And this is where I think Nintendo wins. Is Nintendo? Let's just say there's still millions of fans who haven't jumped on board the Switch yet, and for a lot of reasons. And one of the knocks you hear in the community is that Nintendo Switch feels like the kiddie console, right? It's the general console. I think Game Pass would go a long ways to sort of getting rid of that perception a little bit, because now you'll be able to have access to some of the bigger, more adult-themed titles, games that were previously sort of inaccessible to Switch, and due to the power of the cloud gaming and stuff, which we've seen Switch dabble with recently with certain games, there is plenty of potential there, and I definitely think a lot more people would get on board, and if that means Game Pass is sold on Switch, it also means there's more potential to sell more Nintendo games. So I think Nintendo, even without signing any specific deal, would still technically win, because they'll get another market that has sort of not really taken Switch seriously. So they kind of do get into that adult eccentric market, so to speak. That's where I think they would win. And Microsoft, of course, gets instant access. Like if you look at the Netflix thing, one of the reasons Netflix has been so successful is because it comes pretty much almost now installed on practically any smart device that you can think of. You buy a phone, Netflix is there. You buy TVs, Netflix is there. People that didn't even want Netflix or didn't even know what it was are getting Netflix because it's there. It's right in your face. And I think that's where Game Pass is going, where it's going to transcend the console barrier per se, and even PC. And it's going to be on lots of devices. And it's going to be built in with TVs. And it's going to be built in with these Rokus and all of these other things. And it's going to be there. And people are just going to be like, oh, free trial. And they're going to try it out. They're going to get hooked. And away you go. Game Pass is just going to be everywhere. But anyway, go ahead, Titan. You can answer Rand's story, but how would you feel if those games all came?
Well, Rand, I couldn't care less. I mean, I don't give a damn who plays Xbox games, okay? Now, mind you, right? I'm a hardcore Xbox fan through and through, right? However, and this is a big however, I will never cross over that line where I don't want others to join in on the fun, because I just don't understand that whole mentality from most of the other hardcore gamers, especially on the other people on the other side of the fence from where I am, right? And I know you know what I'm talking about. But I don't care about that. I'm all about the inclusivity. To me, it's like if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. And, us Xbox fans, we're the ganders here. If games go to Nintendo Switch, hell, I don't care. I mean, PC's got them already. I don't give a damn about that, right? You know what I mean? But as far as this, the whole Nintendo and Microsoft thing, now, before we get all up in arms, because Rand has pretty much laid the groundwork, he set it pretty much up for us. This thing has the huge potential, right? Like I'm talking like the max end of this whole deal could be like the buyout of Nintendo.
No,
right?
I don't know. We've already seen Microsoft try to buy Nintendo and they laughed in their face.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a different time now, right? They tried in the past, they were laughed in the face, but now Microsoft are a legit contender with legit money to throw around. And really, you think about it, what direction can Nintendo go from here? Because after, the supposed Switch Pro, and I'll tell you, Game Pass isn't coming to Nintendo until that Switch Pro releases. I'll tell you that right now. I don't even see the point in putting all that manpower and trying to get games to run on that piece of crap Switch that's in my living room right now. But when the Switch Pro releases, that could potentially be a different story. But so they got laughed out of place, but now it's a different time, and you never know. With they're throwing so much money around, billions, $10 billion here, $10 billion there, $19 billion here, right? And that's not all for Xbox, I know, but the Discord thing, you got to think that that's got some type of Xbox, centric, core to it or whatever. Like that's the thing that confuses me. I don't really know what they're gonna do with that. That's the part that I guess scares me about that acquisition that could potentially happen recently. But I think I'm getting beside myself. But so that's like the scale. That's like the max scale is the potential is the entire buyout of Nintendo. That's the max end. And like you said, I think the low end of the scale is just like bringing a character over from one gaming platform to another. And it could literally be anything in between the two, right? Like there could be, I'm sure, like the scope of this, because we don't have a lot of details on this right now. So the scope is just out there and it could be anything. What do you guys think?
Well, maybe Mag would like to snip this one in the balls before we go too far.
Nice. Thank you.
God, these puns are killing me right now.
My God. Don't worry, folks. Everybody in the chat, you'll find out about it soon enough. Anyhow.
Nip it in the bud, Mag. Nip it in the bud.
Yeah, it's going to take a few weeks, I know. Anyhow, I want to go back to a couple things. First thing that Noof was talking about Microsoft having trouble cracking the Asian market. Now, there is one thing that they can do, and then maybe this is what they are doing, probably what they're doing. What do you do if you can't crack the market? They've been trying for 3 generations now and still having no success. So what do? You cater to your strengths. And what is their strengths? Their strengths right now, and it was something that they're obviously building on, is, of course, the cloud service, xCloud, that kind of thing. Basically no purchase, because everybody's got a phone. Everybody's got a cell phone. From any walk of life, doesn't matter whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're middle class, doesn't matter everybody's got a phone. So therefore, you've got access to Xbox, xCloud, okay? And of course, Game Pass in turn. Now, so you cater to that. Right? You cater to those strengths. So you bring it to them, right? Instead of having to put something on a shelf and saying, hi, here, attempt to sell this or buy it, they don't have to do it. Give it to them. Just like Noof was saying with the Netflix thing, they've got that the Samsung situation that they might be working on. All of a sudden, you turn on a new Samsung by next year, you're going to see a Game Pass Square right next to your Amazon Prime, right next to your Netflix, right next to your Disney Plus, right next to your Hulu. Right, so you can have all those things, and all of a sudden, Game Pass might be sitting there with like a 1 month trial or whatever, right? And all you need is a controller, right? So those are easy buy-ins for that. And again, like I said, with the Asian market, they really don't do much of the TV stuff. They do a lot of the portable things. Now, as for what Rand was saying in terms of like the Nintendo Switch, the MCC collection, I could see that. Or the Master Chief collection, I could totally see that coming. Now, the interesting thing is what I'm surprised nobody brought up is that Halo Infinite multiplayer is going to be free to play, right? That is something that could be a litmus test, okay, to see what kind of engagement that they get on a Nintendo platform, and maybe from there,
Nintendo platform is gonna run goddamn.
They can run it from. Well, maybe they can run it from the cloud, Titan. I don't know. I'm spitballing here.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, Rand was even just talking about it. Maybe they have a partnership with Azure, okay, cloud servers, and maybe one of the first things that they could do. Sure, you could drop MCC in there, and then maybe you can launch Halo Infinite in there, free to play. Like I said, it might be a testing ground to see what kind of engagement they get on the other console. Okay, or at least in that other market. And you could see from there, that would be something very interesting. Now, and then, of course, that could expand and grow to Game Pass. And I could see, like, also what Rand was saying about a curated Game Pass. I don't see third-party titles that we get to play on the consoles, on the Xbox console side of things, and to a lesser extent, the PC, right? Some of these third-party titles, I do not think that will go into there, because I think that some of those third-party titles will, of course, be available to purchase on the Switch. They don't want to hurt their sales, right? So I could see that it would be like first-party only. I could see that being a thing, and not even include EA Play, and maybe not even include Ubisoft Plus or whatever the hell it's called. I always forget that Ubisoft Play. But anyways, that's what I'm thinking about that. Now, the other thing that I find interesting is that putting Xbox first-party games on any other console, whether it's on the PlayStation, whether it's on the Switch, or on the PC, that has never bothered me at all. Ever. It's never bothered me. I don't understand this concept of it's ours. We have to hold on to it. It's ours. It's sacred to us. I don't get that.
I've always said exclusives were overrated, and I took so much crap for that, Mag. Let me tell you.
See, exclusives are important to the company, not to the player. And what I mean by that, from a business sense, it's important for the company because they sell their hardware based on, of course, their exclusive software. Because I bought a PS3 for Uncharted. Okay, I didn't buy it for anything else. I saw they had like a little bundle thing, and I'm like, ooh, that Uncharted looks fun. It looks like a Tomb Raider kind of game. And I bought PS3 because of that. Okay, and then of course, I can go back for literally decades of all the consoles that I bought specifically for specific software that was coming on there. So to me, it's about a means to an end. Okay, I don't give a shit if it's on the Xbox. I don't care if it's on the PS5, okay, or on the Switch or on the PC. If I want to play it, I will purchase. I will purchase that hardware in order to play it. So it doesn't bother me at all. Again, it's a means to an end. An exclusive, from the company's point of view, is how they move units out the door. Right? If Halo Infinite is like a 9 out of 10 or hits like a 91, 92 Metacritic, let's just say, okay, for argument's sake, okay, that's going to sell Xboxes. But what the hell does that matter for the customer? The customer doesn't really care. As long as they're getting their product, okay, and they can play on whatever they want, and they just do whatever they want. As for hanging on to it for dear life, like they fucking own it, I don't understand that. Excuse my language.
You know what, Rand? So Mag and I kind of had the same answer, the same, the same answer to your question. Now, did that surprise you that I answered that way, the same way Mag did?
because I think you view Nintendo differently than you view PlayStation, and I think a lot of people do.
That's true. That's probably true.
Like, I think if Microsoft were going to have a partnership with PlayStation and all the Xbox games were on PlayStation streaming or whatever,
I couldn't care about that either.
I know maybe not, you wouldn't now, but I definitely know there'd be a lot of people who would. Like, I don't care. I own all the systems. I'll play wherever I want.
Sure.
Me too. That's why we buy all the systems.
Yeah,
right?
And I'm looking at it more as like, I understand why Microsoft wants this because it furthers their business agendas, and we will benefit from it. Like, you could look at it just from the surface level of like, wow, I actually have a dedicated Switch, a dedicated Xbox handheld now. I own a Switch, but I never use it. Right. But now I could take it on the go and play all my, my Xbox games that are in Game Pass. And a lot of people would look at it like that. But I look at it as more like investment. What we've seen, what Phil has done, right? Because like, Noof, I got kicked out of the community. Remember in 2017? I had people up in arms when I wasn't very happy with the direction Xbox was going in. You remember that?
Yeah,
I was called an Xbox traitor. And I've always asked for more, and it was just, it's like Phil was like, I'm working on it and stuff, and I understand things takes time to change when you're trying to change company culture and you're trying to shift directions. But like when he got basically the big boy seat next to Satya, and I saw the investment with those initial studios in 2018 and then the 2 extra at the end of the year, and they were like, okay, now they're building first party. And then you see the Bethesda stuff, and then you see Game Pass. And I know you're not the biggest fan of Game Pass because you like physical, but like you got to appreciate the moves Microsoft is making. Like Outriders, MLB The Show. Like Phil basically went behind Sony's back and just daggered him. Phil got Sony's game from a first party and made the best place to play it on Xbox for realistically $1 if you wanted to, right? So you start to see the investments in Xbox that you never, ever, ever saw before. And what a Switch Game Pass partnership could be was, we won't get Nintendo games. I'm just going to say it up front. Like, if you're expecting like a Mario or a Zelda to hit Xbox, that's not happening. What you would get is potentially access to the Switch to play your Xbox games. But more importantly is that Microsoft would have another avenue to sell Game Pass subscriptions. That's
right.
They'd make more money. And just like with Netflix, the more subscribers Netflix has, the more money they spend on original content. They just spent $20 billion on original content for Netflix because they have all these subscribers. And the more subscribers Xbox Game Pass gets, the more content they're going to need. So they're going to have to fund more games. So it's all about, like,
the thing, right?
Yeah, it's all about, like, for you, it would be Microsoft would have to buy more studios, maybe another publisher. Yeah. They'd have to cut more deals with independent developers to get more games on Game Pass, because if you have a wide variety of people, like 50 million, they're all going to want different things. And that's where the variety of content and all that stuff. So like, that's how it benefits you, at least the way I view it. You know what I mean?
Microsoft is not stupid. Microsoft knows that, it's easier to get people onto Game Pass to start than it is to keep them there. So they're going to want to keep that content coming. And it's about expanding the market. It's about more eyes on the prize, more eyes on your content. That's exactly what this is. Yeah, they won't get the games, but they'll get Nintendo's market. They'll get people, like I said, who aren't traditional Xbox guys to perhaps finally dabble with Game Pass and have access. And you never know. Maybe some of those people go out and they buy a Series X, or they invest in the PC or whatever it might be. Like I said, it doesn't matter where you play. It does matter where you pay. That's how it goes.
Percolator, what do you gotta have 80,000 subs in a YouTube channel to get a good hello around here?
Yes, he drops $2 in the super chat and says, "Oh, Titan is here? Why? Hello, Mag and Noof."
Yes, thank you, Percolator. I'll see you tomorrow morning online.
He drops another $2. Says, "Hello, Randall Thor. Nice to see you."
Hello.
Go ahead.
Yeah, very nice.
Hold on. You want to hear a funny story about Randall Thor?
Go ahead.
All right, so it was the first video I ever made on my YouTube channel, right? And I include, it was a Billy Joel remake, and as We Didn't Start the Fire, and I included all the community members at the time that were big and this and that, and I include Randall Thor in the song, and I'm like, "Hey, Rand, you hear my video, man?" He's like, "I'm Randall Thor 19, Titan."
What? I never. What?
Yes, I swear you said that. You don't remember that?
I don't remember that.
That
does not sound like. I remember your famous video that I recently went to go watch, and you deleted it or took it down off your channel. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. The CG. Yeah. I gotta take it down during the school year, so can't mix business with pleasure.
Yeah, you gotta bring some more of those back, Titan. Those were good.
For sure will.
Sorry, go ahead, Mag. You were cut off twice, so floor.
No, it's all good.
No, it's all good. Cut him off again. No, I'm just
kidding. Go ahead, Titan. Try it.
He's gonna get cut off like he is next week too.
Yeah, nice. Hey, let the jokes flow. I bet you the chat's sitting there going, "What the hell are these clowns talking about?" You'll find out. Don't worry about it. But anyways, what I was going to say is another point that I wanted to touch on quickly is that, yes, in the long run, let's say we look at something like Game Pass on the Switch, that kind of thing. I benefit in the long run. Okay. And that's something that, Rand was just saying, Noof, you were just saying the same thing. The more money that's get poured into the service, that we benefit, right? In the long run, especially being like longtime Xbox fans and, of course, Xbox supporters, that kind of thing. What do we get? just like Netflix, we're going to get bigger budget games. We're going to get more original content. But the bigger thing, and it's all cyclical, okay? Because what ends up happening is that the more money that they make and the more subs that they get and everything else, you're going to get more third-party titles in there, which are going to entice more people to get onto the Game Pass situation, and people who may not even have an Xbox or whatever. I'm already seeing the trend happening now when they're like, Jesus Christ, Outriders. And remember what I was telling you guys, and Noof, Rand, you're about to hear it. Titan, you're about to hear it. You know that PlayStation 5 games here in Canada are $105.
Yeah, my buddy, I have a couple buddy who lives in Canada, and they're just like, these prices are insane.
Right, they are insane. I took a screenshot because Boom didn't believe me, Mr. Boomstick, and we were talking, and he's like, "You got to be kidding me!" And I said, "No, dude." So I screenshotted the PlayStation Store for him of MLB The Show. The base game is $105. The Jackie Robinson edition is $160. Okay. Let that sink in. I can almost buy a Switch for that. $160 for the Jackie Robinson edition. That's like the whatever. The deluxe,
for the
deluxe,
base
deluxe.
model is $89.99 here.
Yeah, but
signed by Jackie Robinson baseball. Shit.
No, like there's like the MLB The Show. It's called like the Jackie Robinson edition. It's like a special.
I know it was a mag.
Okay, well, it wasn't a very good one. That's par for the course. Anyhow, yeah, it's $89.99, but with tax here, Noof, it's $104 and something. It's like $104.76 or something. So I just rounded up to $105. But let me put this in perspective. If you get Returnal, if I were to purchase Returnal, okay, MLB The Show, and Ratchet and Clank, that's almost 2 years of Game Pass.
Can't wait to get this motherfucker back in.
Okay, just put that in perspective for 2 seconds. That is insane, right? So, anyways, but the point is, we get more third-party titles into the Game Pass for us, and that's where it opens the door for your possible. I've heard a couple rumblings here and there. I don't know if it's true, but I've like Resident Evil Village, and then of course the Battlefield 6, which is the hill that I've been standing on since January. By the way, I'd like to point out. And then if we get something like that, we benefit in the long run. So you want this to be successful on more platforms. You want it out there, and you want it in as many hands and many eyeballs as humanly possible. So it's all good for me.
By the way, if you think things are expensive in Canada, our good friend Mega Bad Seeds in the chat, he says it's expensive in Australia. I've heard their prices too, and their stuff is absolutely redonkulous down there, man. It's even worse than up here. So that's crazy. You know what I'd be saying? If Returnal goes over $100, I'd just be returnaling it to the store. What do you think? Oh crap.
I liked it, Noof.
I liked it. I laughed. What the hell?
Pure Flag Monkeys in the chat. Cybergunter, what's happening, brother? How you doing? Kyla Milo. We got Chef Trouble in the house. You know that one there, Mac.
I'm familiar with her.
Greek dude is here. What's up,
crazy Don't do it. Don't let it happen.
Ron Hale's hanging out with us. Yes, Terrence Tate's in the house. Invader Gaben, what's going on? Our good brother Invader, what's happening? Good to see you, man. Yeah, let's keep this show rolling. So let's move on to the next topic, unless anybody has anything further. Like I said, at this point in time, it's speculation. At some point, if it is true, we're going to come back and talk about this all over again, probably in more detail. But yeah, crazy stuff. Either which way, I definitely think there's something happening, and I guess in due time we'll certainly find out. So Xbox Series S is $249 Canadian. What? $249. Where are you at in Canada where the Series S is $249?
No, it's $399.
$399. Yeah, I paid $599 plus tax, came to about $630 Canadian for my Series X.
Yeah, no, I saw it today because I was on Best Buy. Look, I'm trying to buy some of the Xbox wireless headsets for a couple of kids at work, and they just can't do it. And I'm like, don't worry, I'll check it out. So I was there, and I'm just like, oh yeah. So I saw the Series S actually was available today here at the Best Buy near my house, and I was looking at it's $399 because I was going to buy one for my son, right? So I had already bought one for my cousin. I already got 2 Series X, and so I was going to buy another Series S, and they're $399. So plus tax here, they're $450. Because our tax is astronomical, right? Because of the healthcare.
Yeah, yours in Ontario is what, 15%, and see in Alberta 15%. We pay 5%, which is much better.
Chef, is this your way of trying to say Mag needs to manscape?
I don't even know what the hell's going on.
What? Where are you at?
Yeah, no, something's going on in the chat. I don't know what the hell's going on. Titan, what are you doing? Stop talking to my wife. Oh, by the way, Rand, just so you know, Chef Trouble in the chat is actually my wife. Titan, stay away from her. All right. Anyways, yeah. So we pay 15% because we have to carry the rest of the country on our back, right? So
Well, if she hooks up with both of you guys, I can just kind of call her Chef Double Trouble.
What? Oh well. That sounds. That's Trouble. Don't get any ideas, hon. All right, don't get any ideas.
All I can say is that'll be the loudest bedroom on the planet. Just kidding, guys. All jokes, all good fun.
That's fantastic.
Oh shit! All right, let's move on to the next topic, and then we're going to bring in Ask Arnold segment. So the next topic, we're going to try to blow through this one really quickly, and this is just on the lighter side of things, but I thought it was interesting. IGN listed their top 10 best controllers, I guess, of all time up to this point, and here are the controllers. I'm going to list them out and see how if you guys kind of agree with their selection, if you think there's some ones that are missing from here. I can tell you one that I'm glad is not on there, and that's the Atari Jaguar controller, which actually looked like an absolute atrocity. I still remember that thing back in the day and can't get it out of my head. So at number 10, it's the Nintendo Wiimote. And they kind of put that one there, I guess, simply because kind of how it sort of revolutionized the industry, I suppose, in some ways. At number 9, they have the SNES Super Famicom controller, which is a classic. At number 8, they said the Nintendo GameCube Wavebird. At number 7, the Xbox 360 controller. How about that? At number 6, the Nintendo Switch Pro controller. At number 5 is the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller. At number 4, the Xbox Adaptive Controller. That was a cool selection and definitely deserves a recognition. Number 3, the DualShock 4. At number 2 is the Astro C40 TR, which I guess is sort of like the Xbox version of the Elite. And at number 1, guys, it's the Xbox Series Elite 2. So there you go. You got a couple Xbox controllers at number 1 and number 7. Nintendo dominates the last half. DualShock 4 up there kind of high as well. So let's go around. I'll start with the panel. What perhaps is your favorite controller so far of all time, and perhaps what's the worst one you've ever used? Let's start with Titan.
Well, real quick, I just noticed a snub. I think the Nintendo 64 controller. That's a snub to me.
Damn it!
Yeah, you wanted
right
to
out
say
of my
that?
mouth.
Yeah, right.
Worst?
I mean,
no, I was gonna say the worst controller ever made.
What?
Whoa.
What?
That thing was an atrocity.
What?
Yeah, you heard me. What are you deaf?
A Nintendo 64 controller, you could hold it in different ways, man.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. It's not ergonomically sound, okay? It's a stupid controller with stupid layout, with stupid buttons and stupid thumbsticks.
The thing had like 12 buttons on it, man. It was revolutionary.
Yeah, revolutionary, my ass. This almost turned into Drago's Corner all of a sudden. Let me tell you something, Titan. When you've got a stick near that penis-like extension in the bottom of that controller, there's a problem because your thumb doesn't go there. Okay, that's why Xbox has always nailed it 100%, because if you put your hands together, okay, your thumbs don't line up perfectly. And that's something I always had a problem with the PS4, PS3, PS4, PS5. Actually, all the PlayStation controllers. Okay, your thumbs don't sit perfectly like that. They're slightly angled apart so that the left one is slightly above the right. Okay, and then all of a sudden you slip your hands into that Xbox controller and it fits perfectly. Nintendo, it's almost as like they designed it for like some crazy like octopus hands or something. It was like, what is this? And it was so big and stupid and bulky. And don't forget, it had a big stupid wire hanging out the back too, which made it even more awkward. Hold it in different ways. Titan, continue.
Wire in the back, man. It had remember it had the slot in the back for memory cards and stuff. A rumble pack, memory card rumble pack. That thing was awesome, man. That was like the first controller to actually use that port. Just remember,
Mag, that Titan Drago probably had this thing when he was a teenager, and it was one of the first controllers with real rumbles. So.
No arguments there. But
he played his under the sheets.
Yeah. Okay, I'm looking at the picture now of that N64 controller. What a nightmare.
What an amazing. Rand, what do you think, man? Where's your stance on are you on the Mag or the Titan side for the Nintendo 6? Sorry.
I was never a fan of Nintendo 64 controller.
Thank you, Rand.
Never.
Damn you,
why we're better people.
But here's the thing. So I had a PlayStation during that era, right? So when I would go over to my buddy's house to play the 64, it always felt like playing with a weird, I don't know. It was just such a weird controller. And I probably would look at it differently if I owned the 64 and played it all the time. But I only went over to my buddy's house to play like WCW versus NWO Revenge and stuff like that. So I always thought it was just a very weird controller, especially compared to the very basic and functional PlayStation controller, right? But for me, the best control. Here's the thing I'm going to say. I would say the Elite Series 2 is the best controller ever made. However, it has build issues. So it's very hard to be like, this controller is the best when stuff like that breaks. Like I had my Elite 1 break on me, and I had my Elite Series 2 break on me. So I'm just going to say
well, so what's the best controller, like sturdy-wise? That would probably, it might be a PlayStation controller.
Well, no, up until the DualSense, the PlayStation controllers were nothing but... Well, the PlayStation controllers were nothing but Fisher-Price toys.
Yeah. Well, PlayStation 1, I never had one that broke, or PlayStation.
Well, no, I mean, they haven't broke, but they feel like kids' toys in your hands. That's why I never liked the
well, we were kids.
Dude, the NES
some of
controller, those things are indestructible.
That's why I like the DualSense 5. It actually has some weight to it.
The DualSense, feels like a premium controller.
It feels exactly. It feels. I mean, even though I've there's apparently drift issues, which I thankfully have not had any problems with yet. But I mean, it does feel like a sturdy, well-built controller, and the thumbsticks are tight. Like really tight. They're nice and snappy, but they're. You know what I mean? It feels well built, but yeah, Rand is right, man. Like the PS, I honest to God, I don't even really remember the PS1, PS2 controllers, but the PS3, PS4, they were featherweight to the point of almost like I was afraid to break them. You know what I mean? Like, and it didn't sit well in my hands. Even the PS4 controller I didn't like. But anyways, sorry, Rand, go ahead, buddy.
Right. So I was just gonna say, like, I love the 360 controller. I would say it's probably my favorite, but I do like the Series S1. The new revision with the new console a lot too. So those would be like my two favorites. And I wouldn't really have any of the PlayStation controllers really high because like I said, I've always felt they felt like Fisher-Price toys. The GameCube controller, a little weird too. And I actually, those controllers actually pretty nice is the Nintendo Switch Pro controller. It has the sticks in the right place. Like, that's one of the other reasons why I'll never say a Sony controller is the best controller, because they have the sticks in the wrong place.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So your thumbs don't naturally sit there. Right?
Yeah. The only problem with the Switch Pro controller is that the buttons are flipped. The A's and the B's are flipped. So I always get so confused when I'm playing on the Switch because I'm pressing the wrong buttons. And then I get confused when I go back on the Xbox. Because it's like I've been so like trained, like this button does this. And on the Switch, it's like opposite.
Mac, what did you think of the Dreamcast controller since you hated the Nintendo 64 controller?
I actually never played the Dreamcast. By that time, I was almost exclusively. I'm not almost. I was exclusively Sony.
Okay.
At that point, I was PS1, PS2, then PS3, and then when the 360 came along, I wasn't even playing the original Xbox. I didn't buy an OG Xbox. I started with the 360. I used to play my friend's OG Xbox. And I was more of the Sony thing. But then when the next gen came, and of course, at that point, I was older. Right. So I was able to afford all this stuff. I was already well into my career. So at that point, when the 360 PS3 came out, I bought them both. Right. And then the rest is history from there on in. Right. So I never got into the Dreamcast, but I'm sure if you like it, it's off. It's absolutely awful. So I never
owned a Dreamcast myself. So I really don't have an opinion on that as well. Noof, what about you, man? What do you think you're snubbing?
Well, I've owned a lot of consoles. I could say I really never liked the original Sega Saturn controller, and I didn't like the big fat round one they came out with after what was it was like the arcade. It was basically the precursor to the Dreamcast. It was kind of that big rounded pad with the buttons. So, and I never really liked the first Sega Saturn controller that came with the original units. But then they modified it like about, I think it was like 1 or 2 years later, Sega got rid of that rounded, bulky, fat design and kind of streamlined it more like remember the Sega Genesis, the 6-button pad? So it was kind of more like that.
Yeah.
Those are a lot nicer. So like for me, it's got to be up there with that. The Nintendo, I'm more with you on it with the Nintendo 64 Titan. I actually enjoyed it. once I got used to it and the way the trigger was, I mean, the trigger on the bottom was revolutionary for games like GoldenEye. It was really like the first trigger. And you also had like the fact the analog stick control was, I think, one of the first in the industry as well. So it was kind of despite maybe being a little awkward and bulky or ugly, perhaps, it definitely, it kind of stands in there in the echelon of controllers. And my favorite controller that I've used so far, I don't have the Elite 2. But I do have the original Elite, and that is by far my favorite controller. Just the rubber gripping, the way the bumpers feel, just the whole controller feels amazing to me. And I've had no issues with my Xbox Elite controller, unlike a lot of people that constantly complain about stuff. I've had no issues so far. It's held up. It's been durable. I love, like I said, that you can adjust the trigger tensions, and the thumbsticks feel great. Xbox has basically nailed it almost every controller outside of the original Duke, which I couldn't stand. The S controller that came to the original Xbox, and to me was much better. Like I said, the Duke was just awkward, and those little white and black buttons, I never liked those either. But somebody just you're talking about the Duke there now, but you like the girth. Oh boy. So that's mine. So did everybody have a chance to answer this? GameGuy, did you say what your favorite was?
My favorite, actually, funny enough, and it's not just because I have it now, and it's the most recent, but I would have to say it's a tie for first place of the Xbox 360 controller. But they modified it. See, I got a couple of 360s, and the one that I had that I really enjoyed, I got the Modern Warfare 3.
What the hell is that? Noof was
I just got that too. So that's why I stopped talking.
Someone turned on the washing machine or something.
Oh,
it was so loud. I was like, it was almost blew my head.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the vent is kicking in here, and it's
holy
like
mackerel.
6
That
feet
thing
away from my head.
Jesus Christ, sound like a Millennium Falcon took off outside your house.
I'll mute while that's going here because my fucking mic must be really sensitive. Holy shit.
It's gone now.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say it's a tie. So, anyways, I had the Modern Warfare 3 like special edition console, and they slightly adjusted the 360 controllers. They were a little bit smaller, a little bit sleeker, and those are them and the Series X controller, the one that came with the system, are my favorites. Tied for first place with those. And I got to say that the DualSense 5, at least from the PlayStation, it is the best PlayStation controller they've ever made, and I would say I'd put it in the top 5. So that's my picks.
Rand, did you say what your worst one was?
The worst one. I'd probably have to go with the 64, to be honest with you.
Yes, thank you.
Like I don't really have any I really don't have any like memories of the ColecoVision or any like that stuff. And the NES controller was fine. Genesis controller was great because I had the 6-button one. The PlayStation controllers were fine for what they were, and the 360 controllers were great. So yeah, I probably would have to say the 64.
Excellent. Guys, please subscribe to Randall Thor's channel. You can find him, the man with the million. More subscriptions for him for choosing the N64 as the worst controller. And I'd like a couple of thumbs down for Titan Drago. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Did anybody here ever have the Atari Jaguar and that atrocity controller? Like, what was up with all the numbered pads on there? Like, that thing looked like, I was like, am I playing games or getting ready to do my taxes here? What's the deal?
Like a calculator.
Yeah, it was like, what was up? I don't know if they ever used any of those things. I never had an Atari Jaguar. It was one of those consoles I always wanted. It kind of just, I don't know, it just fell off the radar somewhere. And I'm kind of glad I didn't, because it really never had a lot of great games for it. So I don't know. I don't even know anybody who ever owned one. I think somebody in the chat one time said they had one.
Not me.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah, that was the Atari killer right there. They put a lot into that one, and just that's what happens, man. If you don't sign games for it, doesn't matter how good your console is. If all your games pretty much suck, you only got 2 or 3. Alien versus Predator was pretty cool on it back in the day, but that's about it, I think. Might have been a few others, but anyway. All right. Any further thoughts on this, guys? I mean, was there any surprises on IGN's particular list and that sort of thing that kind of stood out to you there, or no?
Nah.
No. Okay. All right. Well, we are at the halfway point of the show tonight. That means time to ask Arnold. So we're going to take some questions from the panel and our guests if they have one for Arnold, and then obviously the chat. So go ahead, guys. Arnold is on standby and he's ready to take your questions. Who's got one?
I got one for him. Arnold, what would you think would be better for pumping weights? Would you like to use the Duke controller or the N64 controller?
That's a great question. I really don't know. I'm probably going to say I'd go with the N64 controller because it was huge, it was ugly, and it had 3 handles. You could hold it almost anywhere. Heck, you could hold it with your toes. But that's when it would pump up the weights with, and then it had that little fiddly joystick so you could hang it off with something there. That was an atrocity controller. I'm glad Noof liked it, but Noof was stupid. We don't care about him anyway.
Hey, Arnie, Randall Thor just hit 80,000 subs. How many subs are you up to now?
I think I've ate about 1.5 million at Subway already. I don't even pay attention to that stuff, but I'm glad for you, Randall Thor. You keep doing it out there. Well, I'm just waiting for you to have your OnlyFans page so you can come out there and you can show off the real you. You come out there and have fun. Just make sure you bring Jez Corden with you because you guys would be hilarious. But you're awesome. Congratulations, and maybe sometime I'll get you on my show.
I got one from Iceman in the chat.
Well,
Sorry,
I got one for Arnold.
Go ahead, Rand.
And it's going off of something you just said, Arnold. If you were to make an OnlyFans, what type of content would you put on there, and how much would you charge for it?
My OnlyFans page would be Donkey Lovers Anonymous because here you get lots of ass. If you guys don't know, I do have 2 pet donkeys that run around my yard. So there you go, Donkey Lovers, where you get lots of ass. That's what we're going to do there. And I would charge probably like $5.99. You don't want to be too expensive on your pages. You want to make it kind of affordable. You don't want to be out there like an asshole and you just got the one picture up there and you don't have the content. You've got to back it up. That's what you do. You got to put it in the right spot, charge the right price, but have engaging content. That's what we're going to do. So there you go. Get yourself some ass and come to my channel.
I've never subscribed to an OnlyFans account, but you see them like on Twitter or whatever, and they're like, join my OnlyFans, and it's like, oh, I can't help but to shiver, just like like, just Well,
there's that one girl who was making the money by selling the bathtub water. So what I was going to do is I was going to sell the pubic hair to follow my toilet, and I would make money for that.
Fantastic.
Who wouldn't like a hair from down there?
Oh. We've got a super chat question from wow, what a name. That's fantastic.
We got one from Sean Carpenter, but it's not a question. He said Sean Carpenter drops $5 in the super chat and says, I would love to see PlayStation and Nintendo fans get a filtered Game Pass, but I would want a couple of your games on my Series S in the process. LOL. Did I miss another super chat before that? Let me just check up here. I don't like to miss the super chats. No, Percolator was the last one before that. Okay, yep, and you said there's one that just came in via a question, you said?
Yeah. It's an Ask Arnie question, and it comes in from Agratos Henosis, and he drops $5 in the super chat, and he says, Arnie, what's your favorite burger? P.S. Great show, lads.
My favorite burger is the one that you eat after dark. It's the fur burger. Agaratohinosis. You got to come in here with a better name than that. I can't even pronounce it. But you sound like a hamburger. But no, great super chat. Thanks for the support. Make sure you get down there to like and subscribe, do all that stuff. But no, yes, I love hamburgers all the time, but I've got to watch it because of the high calorie count, and I don't want to get my cholesterol out of whack. So yeah, I try to cut back on the hamburgers, but I love them. I could eat them all the time. It's great. I love the soft buns. But then again, who doesn't like soft buns?
Fantastic.
All right, last one, guys. Last one. Who else didn't have a chance to ask? Jesse Darby's got one.
Yeah, I was about to say Jesse Darby's got one. It says, Arnold, who would win in a UFC fight versus Phil Spencer and Jim Ryan?
Oh.
Yeah, it's going to be Phil Spencer. The guy is younger. He's spunkier. The dude's got, 27 studios? What's Jim Ryan got? He's going to come out there with AAA exclusives. I mean, Jim Ryan, he's probably going to do I think Jim Ryan's the kind of guy who goes out there and he gets, he'll get the makeup and the what do they call it when you get the surgery? Plastic surgery. You probably get the plastic surgery before you go into the fight because that's what they're doing with all the games. They just bring one out last week and then 2 weeks later, we're going to make this game over again. We're going to put pimples on Joel's face and we're going to sell it to you at $70 a pop in this craziness. But Phil Spencer, he's practically giving away the catalog of games with Game Pass. On Game Pass alone, he's kicking ass. That's what I'm saying. Phil Spencer gets out there kicking ass with the Game Pass.
Arnie, what do you think about people that get snipped? Men that get snipped.
Oh my God!
You're only half a man. Your connection to your nuts is gone. Your connection to your nuts is gone. I don't even know how the men that get neutered and the willies even work at that time. I mean, what is it? Does your sex drive go? Because I know they say with cats.
when you're new to the cat loses all like drive to have sex. Does that what happens to you? I don't know. I've never been that way. All I got to do is look at the maid, and I get excited. I will not snip myself. I tell a woman, you go back in the bedroom, you snip yourself.
Excellent. Well, we got another 4.9. That was very nice. Thank you, guys, at the expense of me once again. We got Iceman LMH in the super chat, another $4.99 super chat, and he asks, "Hey Arnold, do you use a shake weight to exercise?"
I use a shaker weight to exercise. Have you ever seen my weight room? My weight's like gigantic, which means I probably have the most stretched penis in the whole world.
All right, guys, that's enough for Ask Arnold. Arnold's got to go. Thanks you for his time. Good stuff, guys. Hope the answers gave you a little rouse there, indeed. This seems like to be the kind of rousal show. But anyway, let's move on to the next topic. All right, we got WWE 2K22 is coming back. I don't know if there's many wrestling fans in the house, but this should be exciting news for those who obviously were missing the franchise after taking a break for the last 2 years with the dismal, disappointing performance of WWE 2K20. Fans have been, if you've seen the trailer for the new one, graphically, look, I think this one is going to be absolutely dynamite. The question is, where is it going to land? If there's one thing that's been stagnant with the series has been, poor story modes. We've heard fans complain about that, and, over complex controls. Trying to get into some of these games and have fun like we did back in the day seems to be a thing of the past, which is why a lot of people are gravitating to a game like Wrestlemania Wrestling, which just came out. Congratulations to that team, too, by the way. I did a great interview a few months back with Mike Herman before the game came out. So go support that game, guys. It's pretty much on every platform right now. But anyway, not trying to get off topic here, but I'm kind of excited, although I haven't bought a 2K wrestling game since 18, as a matter of fact. I'm not the hugest wrestling fan anymore. Back in the day, I probably would have snapped these things up the moment they drop, but they kind of became redundant to me, like a lot of sports games where you feel like if you bought one, you bought them all. They'll add some wrestlers and put in some new modes, but and I think that's the problem with these annual series is they sort of start to stagnate a little bit, where they start to feel like pretty much an expansion to the last one. So yeah, how do you guys feel about that? Any excitement? Anybody in the chat, a WWE fan, excited about this one? Did you see the trailer? Who wants to take the floor on this topic?
I'll just say real quick, talking about the wrestling game?
Yeah, 2K22.
All right, so yeah, the last one was such a train wreck that I'm really scared for this one. Did you guys, it was months. I mean, months after the last game came out, and it was just broken as hell. I mean, glitches like crazy, unplayable glitches as well, like just getting stuck in the ropes. I saw there was countless videos on Twitter posted about that game. So I love wrestling, but I loved it back in its heyday, like the 90s, with Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, The Undertaker, when they were in their prime, things like that. That was like the heyday. That was huge. So the newer wrestlers, I feel like most of them lost their creativity or something. It's like John Cena, John Adams, Johnny Boy Johnny. It's like, man, come up with some cool names like The Undertaker and The Ultimate Warrior. Come up with some cool names. That's what I really miss about the wrestling. And I haven't been able to get into it as much, but I'll still play some wrestling games because, to me, like when you throw a wrestling in with games, like I kind of relive that memory or whatever. And they usually have the classic characters for download or whatever. And they usually incorporate those. So I'll usually have fun with that. But, I just hope that this game comes out in working form. Like, man alive, they need to learn from their last game. Learn from the mistakes.
Video games are supposed to be fun and not atrocious. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just, there's been a long time since my days of religiously watching WWE when I was in high school, when the Attitude Era was on, and it was Nitro versus Raw, Stone Cold, versus The Rock, and then the NWO. You know what I mean? Like, I was so into that. And then I eventually got out of it and the product became stale and boring. And I haven't really paid attention to it. And because of that, I stopped playing the games. And I know what, Titan said is the truth. Like 2 years ago, 2020, I think, right? That game was just a train wreck of epic proportions to the point where they didn't even make the game the following year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not gonna play this one. I don't really care. I don't know any of the new wrestlers. I know it's kind of a sad state of affairs. Like they just held WrestleMania like this past weekend, and I didn't really hear anybody talking about it.
I didn't even know what happened. I used to watch wrestling too. Same deal, dude. And then all of a sudden I'm like, WrestleMania happened? And apparently it was 2 days long.
Yeah.
Like they had 2 nights. And I saw it on IGN and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I didn't hear anything about this. And like, but I mean, it's also the COVID thing, right? So I mean, but they still had fans.
Yeah. But
there was like 25,000
Rand
people.
brought it up. The Attitude Era was different. The Attitude Era was edgy. The Attitude Era had wrestlers that almost defied gravity. There was a certain aura to things. Now, the wrestling has gotten watered down. It feels like Nintendo took it over all of a sudden, where everything's PG and they're trying to be politically correct and they're trying not to offend people and they're trying to, it feels like a watered down shit show is what it feels like, where half the wrestlers are a copycat of the last wrestler. Nobody's larger than life. It's just so like mundane compared to where it used to be. You know what I mean? Like when I grew up in the 80s and 90s, every wrestler was easily identifiable, not just by their ring song, but like if you looked on the screen, Honky Tonk Man, King Kong Bundy, Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper, Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man, Ricky Steamboat. Now, did like every wrestler I named right there, or were they not instantly recognizable?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Right?
Most of them by their just like the first tune of their entrance music.
Yeah. Now you come out, another big burly bald guy with a beard, another burly bald guy with a beard. All the girls are the same. Nobody wants to show cleavage anymore because they're afraid they're going to be, demoralized or sexualized or some freaking thing like that. So it's like, come on, man. I liked it when Trish Stratus and Lita and those were beating the hell out of each other. All that kind of crap. That stuff was awesome.
Yep. And I got to tell you, this game, though, if they want to make this game successful, the one thing I got to tell you that they have to do, they have got to up the performance. The frames has to be through the damn roof, because there's one thing I've noticed with these 2K wrestling games. Now, I haven't purchased any. I've played some of the demos, though. And sometimes they'll drop, or maybe they'll do, how Xbox sometimes it does that, the free-to-play weekend thing, and they'll drop a few games in there once in a while. I haven't seen that in a long time, personally. But mind you, I haven't been looking. But anyways, they would drop. I think the last one they dropped was 2K20. So I'm like, let me just check it out. I haven't played a wrestling game in like 15 years, or if not longer. I'm like, let me check it out. I hated it. And what I used to play, just to I'm trying, dating myself here, but I got to tell you, the ones I used to play, guys, you remember this one? It was made by Midway. This is right in the heart of Mortal Kombat popularity. Midway had one, and it was called WWF Wrestlemania. And they actually released it in the arcade. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Dude. So like we're talking about the arcade one, right?
Yeah, but the digitized one, right?
Yeah.
They did the Mortal Kombat thing.
And they had like fatalities, so to speak. Like
I remember that one. I remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah, you could do like a finishing move like you would like in Mortal Kombat, and like a coffin would come out of the ring, and then like Undertaker would throw you inside, and then it would drag you to hell or whatever. And I was like, this is awesome. And then one of the ones I played on PlayStation, it was called WWF. Of course, this is before WWE. It was WWF. WWF in Your House. Anybody remember that one too? It was basically the same thing. It was part of that series. So the arcade one came out. They ended up translating it on console, and then they released WWF in Your House. And it was basically the same thing. I love those ones. They were fun. They were arcadey. They were exciting. They were fast, responsive. And I'm finding that these ones are a little bit too UFC-ish. If that makes any sense, like a little too complicated.
Makes sense. My thought with any of these wrestling games nowadays is, obviously, yes, things change and they're trying to get the realism side. But here's the thing, like, if you constantly got to look up the control scheme and the manual to figure out how you're doing anything in the game, then you're obviously doing something wrong. And that's what I always felt like, is like, how do you do this move again? And how do you do this? Because it was always like a complex button. And you're right, Meg, like the animations have been stiff for years. Like, why don't they feel fluid, like, say, a Killer Instinct game or a Mortal Kombat game? Why does it always feel like the game is almost held back by some sort of weird animation, even though they're doing mocap in most of these games, which blows
there's
my
a
mind.
lot of games that do a lot more complex things than a wrestling game that perform 1,000 times better.
But they look like it looks like they're moving at 10 frames per second.
Yeah, it's not the graphics of the games. The graphics are good.
The movement looks awful. Like I think what they should do is go more arcade. if you want to put the WWE stars in there, put them. Put the Hall of Famers in there too, so like the older gamers can, but make it more arcadey. You know what I mean?
They made that one arcade wrestling game. Yeah,
which I liked. I have that one. I actually liked it. That's quite good.
Oh,
but you talked about
that animated one with the big heads and stuff.
Yeah.
Cartoony about the controller scheme and the controls. That's why the Nintendo 64 wrestling game back in the day, and someone mentioned it in the chat earlier. That's why that game was so awesome. It was simple, but it had counters, and it was easy to play, but difficult to master. And you kind of had to be careful. You kind of had to think about what the other were they going to single clutch? Were they going to double clutch you? And that was awesome.
Yes, I agree. Those games were awesome back in the day. They could have definitely benefited now with the smoother animation styles, but I agree with you wholeheartedly.
No, the Nintendo 64 had smoother animations than the games nowadays. That's what I'm saying.
It's got that UFC look to it. You know what I mean? If you played like any of the EA, although the EA ones seem to be a little bit better, but actually, it'd be a good one, and I know Dealer talks about it a ton because I know he still plays it, is Fight Night. You look at a game like Fight Night, that is very fluid. Yeah. And we're talking like a 360 game.
That's right.
Crying out loud. And it just, first of all, looks fantastic, but then they also play really well. They're not janky, they're not sort of awkward. The buttons aren't really overly complicated. Like I don't need to, like look at my controller trying to, give the opponent an Irish whip into the turnbuckle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I just want to be able to just press a single button and then throw his ass into there and then just run in there and beat the crap out of him. Like, just simple. Yeah. But it's like I don't know. They made it too complicated. I think they should go back to basics. WWE, maybe the pandemic kind of killed a little bit of the popularity right now. Maybe it'll come back. The characters, like you were saying, Noof, certainly aren't as unique as they used to be.
Definitely.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, everybody was a colorful character. And not just not just obviously physically, but personality wise. But you're right; these guys all look like like those lumberjack models you see in the magazines where they got the slicked back hair and the gigantic beard, but that they couldn't even change a tire between the four of them. You know what I mean? Like those guys. That's basically what these guys all look like now. Yeah. And I'm just like, my God, man! Like you guys don't. There's nothing to it.
Yeah, back in the day, you had the tall guys and the fat guys and the little guys, and there was everything in between.
Right, and then you could just listen to like you were saying, you could listen to one note of the theme, and the entire place would erupt. You'd hear the glass break, and all of a sudden you'd have, and that's the bottom line, and then all of a sudden Stone Cold would come out. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you guys getting his ass kicked, and all of a sudden you hear and all of a sudden Big Show comes out. Well, everybody goes bananas.
Well, he used to drive the beer truck out and shoot people with a hose full of beer.
That's right. Like it was crazy shit going on, and like The Rock and all these guys, and then of course all the guys that I grew up with, which is even before then. But yeah, it just seems so generic. And I think the game is reflecting that. So I think they need to kind of go back to a more sensational style and just make it a lot more fun. That's just me.
Well, let's hope that the hiatus for a couple of years, and normally we do see that when companies do take some time off, they rework their engine or they completely go to a new one, and they have time to reinvigorate the franchise by adding new things in. Because I think that's always I pity any of the devs that have to work on an annual franchise year in and year out, because nothing wants to stagnate your creativity more than you're going to make the same game for the next fit. Now they probably get rotating people in and out the door, but still, it's great if you're starting out, but as a developer, would you constantly want to be told, well, you're going to do NHL 19 next year? What are you doing? NHL 20? What's next year? NHL 21? After a while you're like, oh God, the same game again. You know what I mean? So, I think this will be good for the franchise. Hopefully it reinvigorates it and ends up being what 2K wants. But then again, we also know 2K's they're seedy, man, when the way they run their games too, with the microtransactions and all that other crap. So I don't know. But any further thoughts on this matter, guys, or shall we move the bar?
We should move on, but you got 3 super chats coming, brother.
Oh, crap, I do. Yeah, I said Enrique is here, Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. He drops $2. What's going on, brother? He goes, boom, boom, kaboom. Hey, panel, what's up? Thank you, man. And we had some more since that. Wow. Safe Space Invader is here. He drops $2. He says, love it. Found my people. Woo! Hacksaw. Oh, yeah. Hoo!
Yeah, that's right.
It's a hoo! Oh, yeah. Good old Hacksaw Jim Duggan and his 2x4, right? Jake the Snake and his giant snake. That was good back in the day. Eternal Shaddai, $2. What's going on, Shaddai? He says, coming soon, WWE Battle Royal. Cool panel. Love it. Good stuff. DJ Berto Doss, one of our regulars. He's here, and he just drops $5 in the super chat. The man with the million. Oh, crap. Drago, you finally decided to come back. Did Tony F you up tonight yet? Well, I'm late, guys. Tony hasn't been on yet, but give it time.
Oh, yeah, he'll be here. Don't worry about it.
Jesse Darby says the Retromania wrestling is real good. It looks really good. A throwback to, was it WWE WrestleFest, was one of the most notorious and fun games of the arcade era. Anybody ever play the old WrestleFest? I know when I used to go to the arcade, I was always in there playing that.
I always picked the Hogan because it wasn't actually their names, but they made them look exactly like them, right? They they had like the guy who looked like Hulk Hogan and stuff, or maybe I just played like a knockoff in one of those Chinese arcades I used to hang out in because they used to get like all the modded machines and shit like that because it was owned by Chinese triads. So it might have been a knockoff. Yeah, I always used to play Hogan, man. I remember you press the button, he did like that, the punches, like the 8 million punches and stuff. Those games were great, man. They're great.
Indeed. Any further thoughts from you there, Mr. Randall Thor, or shall we move the meter?
I mean, all I really want to know at this point is, am I going to be able to meet Tony Bologna?
Don't
worry, you will.
I haven't met him yet, so.
Oh, you will. Don't worry.
He's coming. He'll be here.
Don't get your hopes up.
Is he not as cool as I was been told?
No.
He's
Don't
cool.
worry about it. Don't worry about it, Rand. You're in for it tonight, buddy.
You're in for it tonight. All right.
Or, you know what? We might have to snip that part, though.
Oh, damn it. Jesus, even Rand is in on it.
I'm not that fast on my feet with those puns, but I thought of that right afterwards, and I'm like, yeah.
Middle-aged game guy.
On that one, ain't it?
Huh? Middle-aged game guy of the movie. Doctor's cut.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
What are we up to, about 10 now tonight?
God, man, I'm really taking it on the chin tonight. No kidding.
You got that big giant fucking jug of Java juice or whatever you got there. Holy mackerel! You gotta be pissing yourself there.
Give me like 2 minutes, and I'm gonna mute my mic.
Right.
Yeah, I gotta go.
All right. Well, now it is time, guys. So we're at that point now. So it is time for Titan to take the plate, and Titan Drago, it is your time to introduce your segment and tell us who you are challenging tonight, sir.
All right, so this is Drago's Corner. This is the second week. I lost my debut fight, if you will, last 2 weeks ago, and yeah, I had to take a little vacation, after I carried Tony Baloney for 3 rounds. Anyways, I had to make it a show, right? You know what I'm saying? I had to make it a show for the people, for the chat. But if you don't know yet, this is my new segment where I will call out a alter ego, a different one probably every week. Maybe we'll see. We'll play it by ear. But there's going to be 3 rounds of verbal assault between us. And at the end of every round, the chat votes on who won that round. We'll give you guys 30 seconds to vote. You'll either vote Titan or whoever the other alter ego is. We'll tally them up at the end of every round and have a winner at the end of 3 rounds, okay? So this week, I'm going to call out the man himself, if you can call him that anymore. No. You know what? I'm going to call out Cletus himself into Drago's Corner this weekend. Cletus, are you ready, buddy?
I'll keep an eye on the chat for the voting, okay, boys?
Well, hey, fiddly-diddly, Cletus here, and I'm always up for any challenge, Titan Drago, so you bring it there, sonny.
All right, Cletus, I'll set the timer. Do you want do you want to go first, or
I'll gladly go
age
first.
Before beauty kind of thing?
Gladly go first, Titan, because first of all, I gotta ask you about your name. Do you call yourself Titan to make up for your small penis? I want to know why you call yourself Titan Drago.
Oh, do you really want to know that question?
Yeah.
I'll answer it in my segment. I'm going to leave you hanging there.
You're slower than a pig taking a shit. Come on, let's go.
I mean, where do I start with this guy? I mean, this guy's family tree looks more like a web spun by Spider-Man himself. Ooh. You can tell just by his voice. You know what I'm saying, chat?
Not bad.
I mean, there's more incest in this guy's family than the last remaining family stuck on a nuclear submarine for 200 years. I mean, for God's sakes, Cletus, you know, it sounds like you got less teeth than the mag without his dentures over here, man. What do you got to say about that? What do you got to say, Cletus?
Well, I gotta say, you sure talks a big game. I don't know how your mouth got so big, but I'd say you sucked a lot of dick back in prison. What about that, huh? Look, I was famous for that because I got no teeth, but that's a different story altogether, Titan. But like you're trying to lay it down right now, and I swear to God, you were bent over longer, my son, than my wife. Your ass in the air every fucking week. You got Mag over there and Tony Baloney just laying the smackdown. You got no comebacks. I got more comebacks in the shed than you ever got on a show. So now you think of it now, son.
All right, that's round one. Everyone,
okay,
go
round
ahead
one. Chat, let's
now. 30
give it up for either Titan or Cletus. I'll keep an eye on it.
So everyone is voting.
Give me some names,
right
boys.
now. Vote with either Titan or Cletus. Who do you think won in round number one? Anyone can vote.
I mean, I think Cletus won.
I think Cletus took that one. Okay, I got a Cletus. I got 2 Cletus, 3 Cletus, 4 Cletus, 5 Cletus. Titan, you are history, son.
Am I ever going to win a round in my own corner? Jesus criminy.
I don't know.
Or maybe you shouldn't have come up with a segment that you can't win.
Cleaning house.
Oh, Cletus again. Cletus. My goodness, it is literally 11 Cletuses in a row. Wow.
All right.
I almost said clitoris.
Why are we even continuing this battle right now? I got your ass kicked so bad you're going to have to pick up your verticals off the moon, son.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, that first round goes to Cletus. All right, Titan, round 2. Hit it.
All right. You know what? I'm just gonna say the name of a movie. And I want all of your imaginations to run wild, okay? All right. The Hills Have Eyes. All right, let your imaginations run wild with that one when you think of Cletus, all right? The Hills Have Eyes, all right? Don't know if you saw it or not. But this guy is what you get, when the doctor fumbles the delivery, all right? I mean, this is what you get when you drink too much bath water purchased from Twitch streamers, for crying out loud.
Not bad.
Cletus,
who are you buying, bath water from?
Let me just tell you this, son. Look, if my Hills had eyes, you say that Titan Drago is one ugly motherfucker, and you should go to the shed, grab a potato sack, and choke him to death. I swear to God. That's what you gotta do with that son of a bitch. Yeah, right there. Now, you can make all the hillbilly inbred jokes you like, but let me tell you, the closer the skin, the better the kin. Or the better the kin, the closer the skin. That's how it goes. I mean, you're talking about going rounds with me, Titan Drago. You can't even keep it up 3 minutes with the old lady.
Oh, boy.
All right, I'll stick away from your inbrededness. I'm going to tell you guys this much. This guy is responsible. You need to thank Cletus. You really do. Because he's responsible for 98% of the warning labels in products you see today. All right? Tony Baloney's responsible for the other 2%.
Thank you. All right. That was actually very good. Good second round there, gents. Now, chat, give it up for Titan or Cletus. Let's see it.
Round 2. Someone give me some love here.
Cletus. I got 1 Cletus, although it says Clutus. I almost said clitoris.
Look at that. Got a whole bunch of Titans coming in.
Titan. Then someone did put a Cletus on it. My God. You know what? Justin Wiley, it's Cletus, not Clitus.
I have to make a character named Cletus.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cletus. That's a fantastic name. Looks like Titan won that round, guys. Titan won by quite a bit. Cletus, you only had like 5, and Titan hit over 11. He doubled the score. So guess what, folks? We are in a rubber match. Third and final round. This takes the cake for this week's for Drago's Corner. So round 3. Chat panel, are you ready? Let's go.
Cletus, you ready for round 3? You better put another chaw in your mouth.
Oh, baby. I got some chaw right here now. I got a big bottle of spitting gum, and let me tell you, I'm about ready to throw this bucket down. Let's go.
What is it, ass-flavored chaw?
That's some good ass right there. It's better ass than you can get. Let me tell you that right now, son. Let me tell you. I'm going to tell you this, Mr. Titan Drago. You know what your favorite shampoo is? Head and Shoulders. You got shoulders. The reason you buy that because you ain't getting no head. That's right. Your head and shoulder right there.
It's really hard to even come back to this guy. Like that, like the only thing I come back to every time I look at this guy is less chromosomes.
Oh, you got comebacks, all right. When you bend over in prison, you got a ton of it on your back.
Cletus, I think brick walls have made more sense to me in the past, man.
My goodness.
I laid them bricks. I laid them bricks way back in 1920. That's right. My great grandpapa. Yeah, that's right. I'm still here. I'm still kicking. I got no teeth, but that makes it sweet. You keep her coming, dear Sonny. I got you beat.
All right, everyone. Let's see. Are you going for the clitoris, or are you going for Titan Drago in the final round?
Drago, or are we going for Cletus? Let's see what's going on here, guys. I think Cletus is going to win just because of the name. Oh, wait. There's a Titan in there, and there's a Cletus. There's 1-1. Here we go. Come on, folks.
This is for all the marbles.
Cletus. 2-1 Cletus. And LOL. LOL doesn't count, Spider-Man. Okay, Titan, Cletus, Titan. Smiting. Oh my goodness. Titan. Cletus. Hold on a second. This is close,
Cletus,
guys.
No.
And Cletus is running away with it. Let's see the next couple of ones. Cletus.
I gotta give
Pure
it
Black
up.
Monkey, thank you for putting in the clit. Cletus. Clitinatus. Jesus Christ, Husk.
Husk, you voted for each of us, you fraud.
Yeah, but he's probably on like his 11th beer, but doesn't even know where he is right now. I'm just fucking with you, Husk. You're awesome. Wait a minute. Titan's coming back. Titan.
Titus and Cletus.
Okay, guys, I'm going to have to go back very quickly and count this because this is way too close. Give me 1 second here.
I think Cletus has it by
I think there's a lot of Cletus in there.
Yeah, I think Cletus won by a few. Anyways, good match, Cletus.
It was Cletus, guys. It's Cletus. Cletus won by 3. It wasn't as much as you guys think.
Well, you know what? Let's I'll throw in one for Titan. That's two. Middle game guy. You gonna throw one for Titan? That's one. You know, somebody else go for Titan.
Yeah, goddamn it, there, Randall. Throw a Titan. You've been taking my shot. I tell you, next time you come on the show, man, you go 1-on-1. How about that?
Oh my God, can you imagine that? Jack Chaos, that's really funny in the chat, by the way. Thank you for that. He put Clintus, colitis, clitoris. Yeah, okay, so it looks like Cletus took it. Wow, you know what, Titan's corner, Drago's corner. He has lost his first 2 matches in a row. My goodness, might be time for a new segment there, buddy. Anyways, boys, I'm going to step out for a few minutes.
All right.
Yeah, I'll be back in a bit.
Okay.
Have fun. Great round.
Great fun. All right, guys. I hope that segment and everything that we do in this show, guys, is all good laughs. It's all in gun fun. Like I said, it is gaming after dark for a reason because we tend to take this train off the rails quite often. So please don't hold that against us. Yes, but yeah, we're having fun here, and we hope that you are too. So good stuff. What's going on, Fuzzy Belvedere and Beaner? S127. How are you, Jack Chaos? What's going on, guys? Hope you enjoyed the segment. Yes, it's 2 weeks in a row. A lot of fun. Can't wait to see who Titan's going to challenge next week. So something tells me week 3 will be his lucky week. So there you go. That was pretty close.
I don't know. I thought
round.
I came strong, and you beat me down in that first round, man.
It was that first round. Yeah, it had to be that one. Arnold versus Cletus. Yeah. Iceman, how you doing, brother? All right.
Kicked out of my own corner here.
So let's move along. I think we got some other real quick topic on this one. The Final Fantasy VII Remake PlayStation exclusivity ended on the 10th of the month. So ultimately, guys, do you think this game will come to the Xbox at some point here? Perhaps it's in Game Pass. I know we're hearing that rumor. You know, it's lots of rumors floating around with the way things are going. And of course, Square Enix, who publishes that game, just dropped Outriders on Game Pass, so nothing would be out of the ordinary here. If so, would you buy the game? I mean, have you played it on PlayStation? Do you even care at this point? I'd love to know how you guys feel about Final Fantasy coming out, the remake for Xbox, potentially anyway. Rand, take it away on this one.
All right. So I've talked a little bit about this on the Xbox too. Shameless plug. Let's see. I played it on the PS4 for a little bit on my Pro. I got about halfway through, but that was right around the time I started getting addicted to Warzone. So I didn't finish it. And I didn't go back to it because I was just like, I'm sure there'll be a next-gen version. And then they eventually announced the PS5 version. So as of now, that's if there is an Xbox version announced, I'm going to play the PS5 version of Final Fantasy VII Remake because I did buy that game, so I would get the free upgrade. and everything is better at 60 frames, right? As for it coming to Xbox, I understand a lot of people have hopes and dreams. Like after MLB The Show and Outriders, everybody looks at this like anything is possible. And I understand that to a certain degree, right? If Microsoft was truly out there spending a whole bunch of money, bringing a whole bunch of games to Game Pass on day one, Final Fantasy VII Remake could be one of those titles. However, I don't think you're going to see it on Xbox this year. I think
this year, keywords?
This year. I think Sony paid for another year of exclusivity.
Okay.
Like I know the exclusivity with the PS4 version just ended like 3 days ago on the 10th. And then the PS5 version is coming out on June, like whatever day it is on June.
Right.
I think they'll announce a PC version to launch with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Sony paid a bunch of money to make sure that the only next-gen version there is essentially is the PS5 version. So I don't expect it to be announced for Xbox this year. Will it come to Xbox eventually? I believe so. But it's like I said on my own show, I'm not expecting an announcement. And if it does get announced, like in a month or 2 months, from now, then I'll be pleasantly surprised, and I would be happy to be wrong. But as far as I know, from what I had heard a few months ago, there was no plans to bring it to Xbox this year.
Right. Well, I think you're on to something, Rand, and I'll tell you why. Because as you said, they just decided they're going to bring out Final Fantasy Remake. What's the name of it? It's like they got another
grade or something.
Yeah, for the PS5, and I think you're 100% right, simply because they're going to want to have all eyes on that game for the PlayStation to maximize sales. And if it goes over the Game Pass, no matter what they've done with this new upgrade to that game, which is like weird to remaster a game that came out last year. It's kind of freaking weird. Basically, or upgrading it for the new console. So I think you're right. I don't think we'll see it as soon, simply because of that fact alone. They're going to want all eyes on that copy, and I think the Xbox One will get pushed down the line. Perhaps, like you said, early next year, you might see it. But like I said, at that point in time, there's going to be so many other games on the market. Will anybody care? I mean, I guess if you're going to play it, you're going to, playing it in Game Pass would be a huge boon. And I'm pretty sure if it comes to Xbox, it's going in there like the moment it comes out for Xbox, because I think that's the only way they're going to get lots of pull from the fans to go and play it. People that don't want to invest 60, 70, $80 on a game that's now theoretically 2-3 years old, so to speak. So I definitely think you're onto something there. How about you, Titan? Do you even care at this point? How do you feel about that game?
No, I hate replaying games. I've said it like 100 times on the show. I can't, one and done like that. Some people hate that term. I live by it. All right, it's one and done. All right, I beat Doom Eternal just recently. It was on my backlog. I tweeted out. I was so excited, but I'm not gonna play that game again. But I will, do the downloadable content and probably beat that. So. But
you need to Titan, because the story wraps up in the DLC.
Does it?
Yes.
Nice. So yeah, I'll do that definitely. But I do not. I don't care for the replayability of single player campaign games. You can't tell me anything new, right? So like maybe even games with like different endings. Like that's why I liked Cyberpunk, because it was like right at the end where you make that save point right before you walk in that building, and it's like, hey, here's the end segment. Now I wonder if at that save point after that, like the decisions you make, because I believe it has something to do, I don't remember how it went, but it was like you had like bars or whatever that you had to fill up, and I think those bars depended on the ending you were going to get. So you really got to change those bars, and that is like a little too much like work for me. I play too much Smite, man. I've got like 300 days in Smite. I don't got enough time for that, So like a game like this is just not on my radar whatsoever. But I do wonder if that's like a loophole with this limited like exclusivity stuff, because that's got me kind of curious if we'll see more of that kind of stuff going forward, where it's like, all right, we buy like a year or two exclusivity. Meanwhile, you guys, make a fucking a remaster, and we'll get exclusivity for that when that comes out, and you guys can have the old trash. You know what I mean?
I do think PlayStation is playing both sides of the fence here very well. Like they're getting money from PlayStation for exclusive times exclusive content, right? They got paid probably handsomely for Spoken as well as Final Fantasy 16 for not putting those on Xbox. And then they're getting paid from Xbox to put games like Outriders in Game Pass and Octopath Traveler. And we know there's more games coming. So they're basically just playing both sides of the fence. And here's the thing. Some people will be like, well, maybe Microsoft went to Square Enix and was like, let's get this game on Game Pass. But I think what happened was Sony just went to Square Enix first and extended the deal. And it's like, this game's only on PS4 and PS5 console-wise. We'll let you come to the PC. But we want like Final Fantasy to be, when you think Final Fantasy, we want the only place for you to think of is PlayStation, which is why they locked down like Final Fantasy 16 and Forspoken. And that's one of the reasons why I think, and I would love to be wrong. Like I would love to, like next week you get an announcement like Final Fantasy 7 Remake is coming to Xbox. I'd be like, hey, that's amazing, because I would much prefer to play it on the Series X than the PlayStation 5. I'm just not expecting it. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Real quick, thanks Doctor and everyone, Doggy Dog and everyone that likes the new segment in the chat. I appreciate that. You guys enjoying that makes my day. It really does. But back to the topic at hand. To me, like the PlayStation's like playing small ball to me. Like they're taking these little deals here and there. They're buying exclusivity. And to me, paying for that like year of exclusivity, that's like, I understand it, but to me, it's just not, I don't see the return investment on that. I'm so glad that Microsoft is out purchasing studios, putting that money to someone that's going to constantly give you, all these exclusives or what, and however they want to make it. If they want to put it wherever they want, that's up to them. But they're constantly churning out a product for you. I don't want them to do these little exclusivity deals for a year, for 6 months, or whatever. Like those are the things I don't really care about. Right, especially going to what you asked me earlier. Like I don't care who gets to play the game or when. Like I'm all about inclusivity. So it's just that's small ball to me. That's pittance. I like the big deals, and I'm glad that Microsoft is doing that. What do you think?
Yeah, well, like I said, I already gave my thoughts on the whole, Final Fantasy thing. Like I said, to me, I have it on the PlayStation. Like I've said this many times, if you're a multi-console owner, a lot of this stuff is almost irrelevant, because if you want the game, you're going to have it on the console, and you're just going to buy it for whatever one you own. If you really want to play it bad enough, like I said, you're there day one anyway. For everybody else, it kind of sucks if you're an Xbox guy, but at the end of the day, like I said, we got so many games to play. It's like, you know what I mean? Like it's not that high in the totem pole in the grand scheme of things, like I said. And when a game comes out so far after its original release, it really loses a lot of its luster. So when it does come out, it probably will be in Game Pass, and I'm sure you will get a larger audience to go out and play it. But for the time being, like I said, we're all pretty happy with the way things are going. And yes, Sony knows there's a lot of weight in the Final Fantasy name, and the PlayStation brand is synonymous with that title. So it's not entirely surprising, and they've had a pretty close relationship with Square Enix for a very long time. So like I said, it wouldn't completely surprise me that this game does get pushed back for the Xbox. But like I said, by then I'll be already moved on and probably playing the second part whenever the hell that comes out. So good stuff. But anyway, let's let Mag finish up and give his 2 thoughts on this particular topic before we bring in Tony Baloney.
What was it? I was in the middle of a wardrobe malfunction, and no, my nipple didn't come out.
Had trouble getting your underwear on practicing?
That'll be next week.
No, just about Final Fantasy. Obviously, the remake. There's been a lot of words now that the exclusivity has run out for the PlayStation. At least, if you look at the game console date. But now they have the PS5 version coming out, which sort of gets like the upgraded treatment. And as Rand said, he believes the game won't come out on the Xbox this year. It'll probably be pushed well into next year, because they're going to want to sell as many PlayStation copies of that other version as they can. So how do you feel about that?
Well, first of all, I think it will come to Game Pass at some point. Just don't know when. And if Rand says it, it's not if he doesn't think it's going to happen, then you got to listen to him because he's basically 100% right almost all the time.
I'm not always right.
You're pretty damn close, Rand. Okay, you're pretty damn close. I mean, I listen to you all the time, and you nail it almost every time. So I gotta say that. But if you want to take if you want to throw a little speculation out there, what would have been a great idea is if when they do launch those next gen the next gen upgrades for the PS5, announce it for the same day for Game Pass. That would be hilarious. You know what though? Here's the thing. Here's my reasoning behind this. And I said this to Boom actually yesterday. MLB The Show to me was the video game industry version of the Thanos snap. Okay, that is literally when everything changed. And when that happened, when that MLB The Show Thanos snap happened, to me, what ended up happening is that now nothing is off the table. Okay, and like anything is possible at this point, especially considering what had happened in that scenario, that situation, especially with the exclusivity with PlayStation, this and that. Like anything is possible these days. Now, the thing is, though, is that if you look at the history, especially with Game Pass, almost every single Final Fantasy has made it onto Game Pass at some point, has it not? Basically, they
announced a whole bunch. Like I know 7's on there, 8's on there, 9's on there.
Yeah.
12 just came. They haven't 15. Put 10 or 10.2 in there. 15 was on there, but it's gone now.
Yeah, but I mean they've all
been. I'm not saying that it will never come to Game Pass. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying I don't think it's coming to Xbox this year.
No, maybe not this year. No. And I think they've got a bunch of other stuff up their sleeve for this year. So you know what? I can wait. I didn't buy Final Fantasy VII for my PS4 when it came out last year. I just waited. And the thing is, at the end of the day, and this is something I also, I'm a staunch supporter of, is you also got to wonder about price. And that's something that you talk about with the Game Pass effect. And it's something I talked about earlier in the show, and I've been talking about it for a while now. It's like, when you get a game that you're bordering on anywhere from $80 to $105, and there's a possibility that it's going to end up on Game Pass. I mean, unless you absolutely are desperately going to play it. And I'm not the only one thinking like this, okay? There's a lot of people out there that are strapped for cash. I'm not. I'm luckily I'm not. But what I'm saying is the pandemic has destroyed a lot of people's lives. It's caused a lot of problems, a lot of issues, and that's going to have reverberations for at least another 2-3 years down the road, maybe even longer. Could be longer. Could be a decade before the restaurant industry gets back up on its feet. Right. And think about all the millions of people that work in that industry and how many those millions of people play games. Right. So they will wait. They will wait and see what happens. So, I mean, if there's a possibility it's coming to Game Pass, I think people will wait. They're gonna hold off. They're gonna balk on that PS4, PS5 versions. But as for coming to Xbox, it will. It's just a matter of when.
I'll tell you what, Mag. Good balk reference. I like that.
Thank you very much.
Well, Jesus Christ, man!
I'm gonna step in here for a second, Titan. I'm the guest. I'm the guest. I'm stepping in here.
Go
for
ahead,
a second.
Jesus, you crybaby.
Jesus. They say Titan Drago brings common back to sense, but it's more like he brings dumb back to ass. But anyway.
Oh wow! Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
That's not new.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new Tony Baloney in the house.
New for Noof and new for middle-aged game guys, so it's new to them.
Wow, we got a new Tony Baloney in the house. What a quick, excellent job, man. Thank you very much.
I was just going to disagree with you on one thing. Yes. I think the Thanos snap was Microsoft buying Bethesda. Because that changed the narrative. It was Xbox has no games to Xbox has too many games. Please give us your games.
That is true.
You know what I mean?
And, yep. But I think the only reason why I'm thinking that is because of the fact that MLB The Show was so synonymous with PlayStation. Right. And up until this point, for God knows how long, it's been like years and years and years that it's been only on PlayStation. And for Phil and company to snatch that out of not only snatch that out of the exclusivity market, but then also putting it day one in Game Pass. Yeah. That to me, it almost, I know that Bethesda is obviously a much bigger deal. But if you look at the impact of that statement of doing that, I think that move was actually bigger in some people's eyes. You know what I'm saying? I'm whatever.
It's because it made PlayStation look awful. At the same.
Oh yeah, but that's also
because it's like, wait a minute. So you just got MLB The Show, a Sony developed first party game, and you're getting it on Game Pass, both versions, when your loyal PlayStation supporters who have been supporting the franchise for years have to pay $70, while Xbox guys don't have to pay anything. It just made PlayStation look.
Could you imagine if Burger King sold the Big Mac, but it was $1 for everybody at their store, and all of the McDonald's guys had to pay the full price?
And so here's the thing: that is actually going to have an impact down the road, because it's already had an impact with Outriders. It's already going to have an impact with MLB The Show. And now you're going to have PlayStation players, or maybe more PlayStation-centric players, are going to say, or people who are on the fence, okay, more casuals. Let's face it. We all know that at least 70% of the market are casuals. They're going to look at this and go, what are we doing here? If I'm going to buy a PS5 in the fall, let's say, when it's finally really, well, at least a little bit more available than it is now, and they're going to say, and I'm going to buy a handful of games that's going to cost me upwards of $1,000, or I could just buy this console and get those same games for almost next to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I understand you're paying for Game Pass. Everybody understands this, but paying anywhere between $10 and $15, depending on which version you're getting. Okay. That's a far cry from having to dump $300-400 up front for a handful of games that I can count on one hand.
$15 a month. That's like 30 cents a day. That people support poor children for less. You know what I'm?
You see what I'm saying? So now, I think that like moves like Outriders and MLB The Show and whatever else is coming in the year in 2021, which we know it's not it. Yeah,
I mean, I've said it repeatedly, even before. Like, it's just the beginning. It's just like. There's rumors about Resident Evil, Village, and Madden and FIFA and Battlefield and stuff.
That's right.
Like Microsoft is out there spending cash. They're spending cash.
That's going to change. That's going to change people's minds. They're going to weigh out those two options in their hands and go, wait a minute, over here there's this, over here there's that, and they're going to look at that Xbox side and say, "What? This is a no-brainer."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, you have to put up that huge investment up front with Sony, whereas Microsoft, the only investment you're putting is on the console. And then even then, they've given you how many options of you don't even have to buy the damn console. You could play on your tablet, for crying out loud. You can play on anything else. It could be the new version of the Switch. You know how Switch is always like, for a lot of people, that's a supplemental console. It's like something they just play on the go or whatever. Then that's where Game Pass is going to end up becoming the new quote unquote Switch. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, like, they've given so many options that, like, it's not worth it. Yeah. I'm not going to buy. And I told Boom this yesterday, too. I'm not buying any more PlayStation 5 exclusives up front until they go on sale. I'm not spending $105 on whenever God of War Ragnarok comes out. And I've already said this before. I'll say it again, and I'll stand on that hill.
Bullshit.
Is that I still think it's just like Miles Morales DLC, because the turnaround of less than 3 years is doesn't make any sense to me. I think it's what Cory Barlog had pitched to them. Okay, he said, I have all this other stuff, all this other supplemental material. Sony, they already knew the PS5 was coming. And you know what they said? They said, hang on to it. We're going to release it for the PS5. Make more money off that. I'm not paying $105 for that. You got to be out of your fucking mind if you think I'm going to do that. I'll spend it for $40, right? But I'm not going to be spending full price for that. Mm-hmm. And Ratchet and Clank, wonderful game. I'm not going to lie, great game. Okay, the 2016 one I got, because by the way, it's free if anybody cares. On the PlayStation side of things, it's free. Part of that, like a stay-at-home initiative that they're doing. Yeah. So you can download it for free. Fantastic game, but I'm not paying $105 for it. Not a chance. So that's where these things come into play. And then Final Fantasy, same deal.
Yeah.
Anyway,
all right, guys. Well, let's end that topic there. I think we've all said our piece on that, and it's not even really that big of a topic or big of a deal. This was the end of the day. It just depends on how important Final Fantasy is to you, especially as an Xbox player. If you don't have multiple consoles, I guess it does sting a bit more. But let's move along. We do have a super chat coming in from my good buddy Iceman LMH. He drops $4.99. Says, "Hey Rand, congrats on your Million Gamers score. How long did it take to get it? And any pro tips for us?" So, Rand, if you want to take that away and maybe answer his question.
Yeah, sure. Let's see. I got my 360 in, what was it, January of 2000 and So the 360 came out in November of 2005, right?
Correct.
I got mine January of 2006, and I hit 1 million E3 2016. So 10 years, give or take. But the gamer score meta has changed recently. If you want to get a high score, there's a bunch of really easy and really cheap and really short indie titles that all have 1,000 gamer score. Publishers like Ratalaika, they put out a game every week, and it's always super easy. That takes anywhere like less than an hour. There's publishers like Zilton who add like 3,000 gamer score with updates and stuff. So basically, my suggestion, if you really want to get a bunch, you just kind of go to True Achievements. You sort, their achievement lists by the fastest, and you go buy those and you play them. I mean, unfortunately, you're going to have to spend some money because nothing's free. Yeah. But these games are super cheap. And you can, like, for instance, I haven't really chased gamer score in years. Mm-hmm. If I wanted to, I could put up a month next month and probably get like 200,000 gamer score without breaking a sweat. Right. Like, that's how easy it is now. Okay. It wasn't that easy when I did it. Because arcade games were 200 points and then 400, and there weren't that many. Yeah. But nowadays, like, there's so many games that release every single day on Xbox, and some of the developers have kind of, figured out, hey, I can sell games disguised as, I can sell gamer score disguised as games. Right. Essentially.
Yeah, that's true.
It is. I mean, that's kind of what it's come down to.
The Master Chief Collection evolved into like 7,000 for that game.
Yeah, but at least the Master Chief Collection takes literally forever if you wanted to get all 7,000. Yeah. There's games out there that are worth 3,000 that you can get in 15 minutes, all of it. Yeah. So that would be my recommendation. And honestly, I don't think it's worth it anymore. I think some of the gamer score's always been worthless. Like, gamer score only means something to the person getting it, right? I've always said that. Like, me having 1 million doesn't make me better than anybody else. It was just something that I like to do. Yeah. But it definitely has been devalued even more than me saying it's worthless when I was doing it. Yeah. But yeah. So.
Well, I totally agree with you, Rand, because I know, like I said, we go back a few years now, and I remember when I first met you, you were very pretty persistent on that, and you were always usually at the top of the leader polls in terms of the gamer score. So I know you've definitely taken your foot off the gas there over the last couple of years. But when did you sort of, with the gamer score thing, like, when did you kind of go, I'm going to pursue this a little bit? Was it a certain point or did you go right from the get-go, I'm going to just try to complete as many games as I can?
Well, so I've always been the type of person that just plays as many games as I can play. Like, when the 360 came out, I already had a GameFly account, because I was getting games for my PS2 and my Xbox because I just love playing video games, right? And then I just really got addicted to achievements. It was just like, I played Call of Duty and I was just like, wow, what is this achievement? Oh, man, that's cool. And I just added all the 360 games to my GameFly account, and I upped it to four games out at once. So these games would come in from GameFly, and I'd beat them and get all the achievements and then send them back. And there was only a set amount. So you do as much as you could. And then people started to cheat. Right. And everybody a lot of people in the top started to cheat with game saves and profile glitching. And I always that's stupid. Why would you do this? It's about video games. Right. And I was just like, I'm not doing that. That is the dumbest thing. So I didn't cheat. And nobody thought Microsoft would do anything, like how with PlayStation hasn't done anything to trophy cheaters. And then Microsoft 1 year, I forget what year it was, decided to do something, and they actually reset everybody who cheated back to 0. So all of a sudden, I was say 100th in the world, but when they reset everybody, I was like 12th or 15th. So all of a sudden, I was just like, oh my God, there's not that many people ahead of me. So I kind of made a conscious effort to be like, wouldn't it be cool if I could be in the top 10 to hit 1 million? Yeah. And I eventually did. I mean, I when I hit 1 million at E3, I think I was like 5th in the world at the time. Yeah. And I even had waited. Like, Phil had floated the idea to me in January the year previous. So I was sort of kind of taking my foot off the gas and kind of just doing a little bit here and there just in case he really would want me to do it. And then, we talked about it, and we emailed back and forth, and the team thought it would be a great idea. So I was like, okay, now I know what's really happening. and I kind of had to pace myself. So I could have even done it faster. But yeah, it was basically when they reset everybody, and I realized that was like I was 15th in the world. And I was like, oh damn, and there's not much separation between me and the rest of the people in the leaderboard. But I never had any, like, I never wanted to be number one. I was just kind of like, I just love playing video games, and I just really like getting gamer score. It just like hit that pleasure point, I guess you would say, like every time an
accomplishment, right?
Yeah. And then when I did it, I pretty much sort of stopped. And I will say, because it had been something I had been doing for so long, it felt so ingrained into me to play these games and get the gamer score that it was tough for me to completely drop it. Like I've been doing it. It was a part of me for 11 years, 13 years. And when I stopped doing it, or because like I would get to the point where I would play a game and I would have to get all the achievements, kind of like an OCD sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then that was really, really hard to let go of. I'm not kidding around. Like I would play a game and I would start it and I would be like, I'm not getting all the achievements. It's like, what am I doing? And then, I mean, that eventually took, it took a little bit for me to actually kind of, reset myself from all my previous habits that I had built up over the past like 13 years. Yeah. But hey, look where it led me. Like I got to meet Phil, and I got to meet everybody in this amazing community. Started a podcast with Tim Dog and Southbound TXR. Eventually started my own channel. We're at 80,000 subs, on the way 100. Like this, it's kind of crazy when you think about like what the decision to do gamer score was, and everything, and kind of what it all led into. Because I doubt I would be on this podcast talking to you, or having a YouTube channel if it really wasn't for that. Because that was kind of like, if you remember back in 2016 when I came on the scene and in the podcast circuits, a lot of people have been like, Xbox fans don't play games. And there is some modicum of truth to that, depending on who you're talking to. Like there definitely are people out there who do podcasts and make videos who don't play video games. They just talk about them. You know what I mean?
Watchers. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
But they're like, nobody can say that about me because I played everything. So I was like, kind of like, people respected that. Like, oh, Grand's an actual gamer. He plays everything.
Yep.
So like, it's just really, really cool when I think back about it.
Stallion's still the number one guy?
No, like anything, he eventually quit too. And I think he's like number 5 now. And that's how easy it is to get points now. It's like, I think my buddy Smirnoff, he's number 1, and I think he's almost at 3 million. Like he's at like 2.6. Wow. It's just points are so easy. But it's crazy to me to think like the decision I sort of made in 2006 kind of ended up bearing fruit or whatever. Like
that's nice.
Like, had ripple effects throughout all the way, until here we are, 2021. That's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah. Well, I've definitely, like I said, your gamer score has grown. You've grown. At least you find a lot of success, and we'll talk about that a little bit more as we close the show. But let's bring in Tony Baloney here now. He's on standby. He's waiting to crack off here. I'm sure he's got a lot to say. So, Tony Baloney, how are you, sir? Welcome back to the podcast.
Well, good evening, everybody. Yes, I got tons to say tonight. Let me tell you something. First of all, let me get started with a couple of things here. First of all, Titan Drago. Losing to Cletus. Unbelievable. That's 2 in a row, scumbag. Why don't you come up with a new segment? But let me tell you something else. You know what was really entertaining to watch about that entire thing? I think combined between Cletus and Titan, your IQ almost hit double digits. Fantastic. And I did say almost. Now, let's get on to our fine guest right now. Randall Tomato.
Yes, Tony, it is nice to meet you.
It's very nice to meet you, Rand. Let me tell you something. Randall Tomato, Randall Chopped Liver. Let me tell you something. That moniker has already been taken by Titan Drago. Okay? Because he's chopped liver now after losing 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row. Two times in the first 2 segments. It's absolutely embarrassing. He might as well just give it up. Give up the podcast game too. You might as well stop teaching as well. It's ridiculous. Whatever the hell's going on. I think you should just move to Alaska and just become a deep sea fisherman. Just get out of here, Titan. Now, Randall Thor, the man with the million. Well, let me tell you something, man with a million. I owned that name because back in the 80s, I was called the man with a million. I had more than 1 million sexually transmitted diseases. Okay? And so when people used to see me, they go, oh, there he is, the man with the million. That's right. And then when you took it, that's when I called my lawyers. But anyways, another thing, who's not off the hook, and he's not here tonight, obviously. Your boyfriend there, Flash Gordon, Jez Gordon there.
Jez Gordon, yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, let me tell you something, Flash. You got the mag blocked on Twitter. I've never even spoken to you. I don't even know you, but I love you. But you have me blocked on Twitter. I don't even know why. It sounds like an accident to me. But anyways, you got to get this fixed. You got to get this fixed, Jez. But now that I was blocked on Twitter, let me tell you something. Now I'm not happy with you. So I'm going to take a couple of bites out of you.
Well, we know Mag is getting fixed.
Yeah. That's next week. But let me tell you something, Jez. At your expense, do yourself a favor. Before you go into the Xbox 2 podcast, which, by the way, is my favorite podcast next to the ILP, my two favorite podcasts, just take a nap, okay? Take a nap. Because every time you start the show, the first 5 minutes of the show, it sounds like Rand just woke you up out of a deep slumber. It's like, huh?
That is true sometimes, Tony. That is true.
What's going on? I don't even know where I am right now. I was just having a dream about Pokemon Black and White, and I had dreams about Pokemon and this and that. What? Rand, are you there? And I was just like, what's going on? Have a coffee. Do something. Take a nap. I don't know what's going on, Jez. But the other thing I got to take a bite out of you for is and you know what I mean by you know. Every time I listen to you talk, it's like, you sound like we're being interviewed by Paul McCartney. Have you watched one of those interviews way back in the day? They go, Paul McCartney, how'd you start the Beatles? And he goes, well, so I met like John Lennon, right? And then, it was just kind of, we were playing in the basement, and then there was that. I don't know. Stop saying I know. I don't know what's going on. But then I hear Jess talking, and he's like, well, Rand, I was just playing Pokemon Go, and I was playing Age of Empires, and then I was speaking to Phil, and then I was back at Windows Game Central, and I'm sitting there yelling at my phone while I'm brushing my teeth, and I'm like, Jez, I don't know what you're talking about, and it makes me really sad. But anyways, in all seriousness, Jez, absolutely adore you, buddy. Please unblock the mag from Twitter. Randall Thor, you are one of the best podcasters in the entire planet. And let me tell you something. Like I said, everybody who doesn't listen to it, listen to the Xbox 2 podcast. It's fantastic. Now, the bullshit is out of the way. Let's get on to some questions.
Who's got questions for Tony Baloney tonight?
Tony, what do you think? What do you think of my new catchphrase for Titan Drago?
Bringing the dumb back to ass, I think it's got to be the greatest thing ever. You have actually just got a plaque put on my wall, okay, for just a Hall of Fame of best things that ever been ever said. That goes on the Tony Baloney Hall of Fame. It was absolutely unbelievable. And, of course, without question, it's 100% true. We all know this. Oh, the doctor. By the way, Noof, the doctor dropped me.
Yes, the doctor did. $5 in the super chat. Noof, great show as always. Tony B, check your text. And you know what? Randall Thor gets an achievement unlocked for that fantastic thing that he dropped on Titan.
That was like a 5-minute Rada-Leica game. You got 1,000 out of 1,000 in 5 seconds flat just for saying that.
The funny thing, Titan knew it was coming because I've said that to him before. It's not original, but it was mine, damn it.
Well, you know what? It's yours and something else. I haven't heard Titan speak in the last 3 minutes because he knows it's right. He knows it's true. That's the problem. Now, getting to the question. Yes, the doctor has sent me a private message. Listen, oh, dear God in heaven. You thought last week's was crazy. Listen to this question. Dear Tony Baloney, great news. I found the video of my... Jesus Christ, I can't even read it. I found the video of my ex-girlfriend licking my ass. But I had an But I had an iPhone 3 back then, so the quality is super grainy. No any video editors that could clean it up. First of all, doctor, I've already told you once before, you are a doctor. Let me tell you something. You need to see a doctor. You are a sick man. You are a very, very sick man. You need to get some serious mental help. And whatever woman that actually sat there and let you film that is beyond comprehension. Can you imagine filming with that little iPhone 3 and putting it up next to your ass while she's doing that? That is unbelievable. I don't know what the hell is wrong with you. You need to, maybe you and Titan should both move to Alaska and become deep sea fishermen. Maybe do some soul searching, some self-reflection, maybe some life changes, maybe something like that. Why don't you focus on your penis instead of your ass?
We could become monks.
Jesus Christ, Doctor. You are a sick man. Anyways,
Hey,
in all seriousness, I don't know any video editors because you know what? I can't think of anybody that degraded that would actually want to clean up that kind of image because nobody wants to see your ass in HD. Thank you very much. Next question.
We got one from Psychonaut. He says, Tony B, what advice do you have for someone thinking about getting snipped?
Yeah.
There you go.
You're getting them nervous.
Well, you know what, Psychonauts? Let me tell you something. I think it's actually a really good idea. Just go get snipped. You know why? Because then you could just do whatever the hell you want. You could blow your load here, blow your load there, and zero consequences. It's unbelievable. It's possibly the best option ever. And let me tell you something else. It's very attractive to the ladies when you just tell them and said, hey, guess what? I had a vasectomy. Fantastic. Fantastic. You could just go right in there, make yourself at home, and do whatever you want. And then you could, drop your load and get out the door and don't have to worry about her calling you 8 months from now and saying that Tony Baloney Jr. is on the way. So it's absolutely perfect. Do it, Psychonauts. Do it. Any other questions for Tony Baloney this evening?
Oh, man. What's going on? Gone Mad, Bong Soul, Assassin Lupa, the Doctor, Slinky M. Man, great crowd here tonight, guys. Great crowd. Staying up late for the debate. Indeed. Blue Moon, what's happening? I'm just trying to see if there's any more in the
all I
chat
see
here.
is laugh emojis.
Laugh emoji. Well, that's always a good thing.
Oh,
It's
wait a
better
minute.
than... Do we got one?
No, it's not a question, but it's from DJ Berto Dos. But he dropped you a $10 super chat. Fantastic,
What?
BJ.
Oh, Jesus. That one came out of nowhere. DJ Bertos with another super chat, $10. Hey, Rand, that little segment with you talking about how you became the man with the million, you should put that audio on your channel. People always asking what the millions mean in your comments. Great
They sure
show.
do.
Yes.
They sure do. I've had to explain that a couple times on my podcast, but I always enjoy it. Plus, my name. I don't know how many times I've actually had to explain what Randall Thor is and means, which is why I know Tony Bologna didn't own Randall Thor, because this is the main character from a Wheel of Time. So you're lying, sir.
Yes, which is a terrible game, by the way. I put it up there with Smite.
Terrible game. See, now I know you don't know because it's a book series. We got you.
I know it's a book
You know what?
series. I know.
I
it's a book
understand.
series, but I had to do something. I had to try, Rand. I do listen to your shows. It's a
I
character
understand,
from the
though.
shows you read when you were in high school.
You're worried about getting cut next week. It affects not only your brain but other areas. I get it.
Oh my goodness! My goodness! You know what? Thank you very much. You know what? The real comedian tonight is Randall Thor. My God, what's going on tonight? Tony Baloney is losing to Randall Thor. Titan lost twice in a row. Jesus Christ, Noof. Maybe you should just have a Rand and Titan, Rand and Noof show from now on.
Well, I mean, Titan's used to holding those L's, so that's not a big deal for him.
Well, obviously. I mean, look at his hair in that picture. Look at the face. Oh my God. That whole upper body is an L right there. That's an L. Jesus Christ. Oh, you know what? I think I got one more question here from let me see. Blue Moon FC asked me, Tony, can you give me some fashion advice? Yes. Wear this or wear nothing. That's actually even better. Wear nothing. You know what? The next time you go on a date, just show up at her house naked. You might as well just show her the goods immediately, because then she'll decide right then and there if you're gonna get laid that night. Why waste $100 on a steak dinner and a couple of martinis, maybe a bottle of pink champagne? You might as well just show up, show her the goods right away. Okay? Who buys a car without test driving it, right? You might as well just take a look and say, hey, honey, here it is. Here's the bologna right here. And is that going to be good enough for you? Well, hey. And if it's not, you get back in your car and you drive home sad but naked. It's a fantastic idea.
Is that where you got your name from?
Oh, Tony Baloney. Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I wasn't called the man with $1 million for a reason. Well, anyways, guys, it's been a pleasure as always. Titan, I look forward to watching you lose for a third time next week. Red, I really look forward to your Xbox 2 show this weekend. Everybody, you better tune into that show. It's really good. And Noof, you just keep doing what you're doing. Mag, I don't know where you are. Well, I don't know. You're somewhere around here. But anyways, either way, everybody have a great week. We'll see you all next time.
All right,
Tony
see
Baloney
you, Tony.
Yeah,
You may be right, because I may lose next week, because you sure as hell ain't gonna be here.
Oh, right. That's right.
There you go.
Yeah, I'll be laid out next week, folks.
All right, he'll update you on what's happening here as we close the show. One last topic. We'll try to make this one fairly quick, as I know it is getting late and people want to get out of here. But it's just it's about the remasters, and I kind of want to know where everybody feels in the grand scheme of things. It's becoming a common trend. We kind of know why companies choose to do it. Obviously, it pads the bank accounts. When times are slow and they don't have a lot of games on the docket, obviously they're trying to reach different audiences that perhaps they missed in previous generations. We've heard about the rumblings right now that potentially Sony is making another remake of The Last of Us, although it's, they've had 2 copies of it already, and the last one's still fresh in our memory, the remaster, which was just fine and done pretty well. If it comes out again. And of course, we have the Mass Effect game coming out here. What is it, middle of May? Mass Effect and the trilogy remaster. So to me, I'll try to sum it up in this question right here is, we know why they exist, but do you think it's warranted? And what do they need to feel like, and what do they need to do to make them feel more than a cash grab? Because I know we've seen great examples of ones done very well, like the remake of, let's just take the Crash Insane trilogy, which brings the old games back from the PlayStation 2 era, upgrades them with new controls, graphics, and content, and it almost feel like a new game, but yet it's still an old game. Then you've got games like, what's another great example? Like Gears of War Ultimate Edition, where they took the old game and completely revamped the graphics from top to bottom, put in better play control, added some missing content. It really felt like the old game, but it was new. Shadow of the Colossus on the PS4, which, again, had a complete overhaul to the graphics and the mechanics and things like that. And to me, those are the kind of games I can get behind. But when it's just like the God of War one was a very lazy one, let's just upgrade it to 1080p with pretty much no differences. Some of those types of ones. So how do you guys feel about the remasters as a whole? I think we know how Titan feels about it. So if he wants, he can start first. Who's getting the Mass Effect one? And what do you like to see at a remaster that will make you feel like dropping the money on it day one? And before we get to that, ATL dropping $10 in the super chat, showing support. Well, thank you, ATL. We greatly appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much for that. And to everybody that's in the chat, Drew Zilm, Slinky M, Joe Dunmore, Jesse Darby, everybody, you guys are awesome. But anyway, take it away. Titan?
Yeah. To me, like a remaster is just slapping a coat of makeup on Tony's ugly mug over there. It's still an ugly mug, right? If you're gonna do it right. Get the plastic surgery, remake the whole damn thing, right? That's what I got to say about this. Remake it all.
I mean, I prefer remakes over remasters. Like, I really enjoyed the Shadow of the Colossus one because the game looked much better, and more importantly, it ran better. Yes. I'm looking forward to the Mass Effect one because that sort of straddles the line between a remaster and a remake. Like, they're doing things differently a little bit in the first game with the combat. But normally I don't get too hyped for remasters because, like Titan Drago said, it's most of the time it's just like, here's an up-res on resolution.
Yeah.
But with that saying, I would be excited if they ever did bring like the Dead Space 1 and 2 and remastered them for current gen. Like, I'd play those games again at 4K 60, you know what I mean? But I prefer the remake variety. So, but it just really goes to depend on if I'm interested in the remaster or not,
Yeah, well, I watched the video on the Mass Effect one, and they certainly did enough to warrant like a repurchase because all the games look way better. The texturing, the lighting, again, they almost look like new games. And I'm a big Mass Effect fan. Like I said, I love The Last of Us too, and I had the original version, and I bought the remaster. I will not buy it for a third time unless the game is completely overhauled with a crap ton of new content. It's a no for me, and I try to steer clear of just simple up-resed remasters, to be honest with you, because I just don't feel they're worth the money. And I get it. With the 360 generation, a lot of those games were sub 1080p, like 720 with poor frame rates and things like that. So, yes, I mean, you know what? And if you don't feel that way, just look at if you run a lot of those backwards compatible 360 games on your Series X and tell me that it's like, wow, these things look absolutely amazing now. Like, however they do it with their magic. But, man, like I was playing Splinter Cell just the other day. Splinter Cell, what was that? Conviction, the other one after that, Blacklist, right? And man, it looked amazing on the so like crisp and way cleaner than I can ever remember it on the Xbox 360. The Xbox One. No, that was on the 360. Yes, it was on the 360. You know what I'm saying? So, how about you, Meg?
You know what? I'm with Rand on this. I prefer the remake. So like when you get something like of course the Resident Evil 2, which has got to be up there as one of the best ever, right? The Resident Evil 2 remake, the Resident Evil 3 remake, those were fantastic. Now for remasters, like, and I'm looking at something like the Mass Effect. I've already put in like 250 combined hours in Mass Effect trilogy. I'm not going to go back and play it again. I mean, even if it just looks better, looks prettier, maybe plays a little bit better, great. That's wonderful. But I'm done with it. I've already put my time into it. I'll focus my attention and energy on a new Mass Effect when it comes out, right? So I'm not going to go back and play it. I'm not going to buy it. And like I said, if it's just a remaster and it makes puts a coat of paint on it, maybe ups the frames, that kind of thing, puts better lighting and texture effects in there, whatever. It's just not enough. It's got to be built from the ground up. And make it feel like a completely new experience. Even though, like, even Resident Evil 2, when I played the original Resident Evil 2, I played it I don't know how many times, like 10 times. Trying to do like the best time and do this and do it without using any herbs or whatever. But your typical Resident Evil fodder. But this one was so damn good, it made me forget that I played it 10 times, 20 plus years ago, right? And I was just like, this is unbelievable. It was like, it was like a completely new experience. However, they did add new experiences in there, right? So they upped the ante and they changed it ever so slightly, which, of course, that's why I'm kind of eyeballing this Last of Us. What the fuck are they going to do with that? Excuse me. But, like, I mean, I've already played the game how many times now? I played the original Last of Us. I played the Last of Us remake. Mm-hmm. Like, you're going to expect me to pay money to play it a third time? Are they going to make it look like, what's his name there? The Mandalorian, because he plays Joel? Like, what are they going to do? Like, I don't understand what the point and purpose of this. I think they really just did it because they wanted to capitalize off the popularity of the next year's launch of the HBO show. Yeah. Right? But, I mean, anybody worth their salt, I mean, who hasn't played Last of Us yet? Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I can't think of anybody. But, like, anyways, as for what he was saying, it has to be an absolute ground up remake, and it has to be a game that obviously I love. Yeah. And that's it. That's other than that, that's where I stand there.
I have some good news for you, Mag.
Yes, sir. What's up?
I talked to Jez, and you're on block on Twitter. It looks like.
Oh my God! Right. Tell him not to watch the show. Then
he said he said he had no idea why you were blocked, and you guys have never interacted.
We've never interacted ever, and
sometimes he just does that. So yeah, you're on block now if you want to go check.
Oh, thank God! Yeah, no, that's fantastic.
Well, he hasn't blocked me, but he followed me and then unfollowed me, so I'm still unfollowed right now. So,
my Twitter automatically has unfollowed.
Yeah, I've accidentally, like, my Twitter unfollows people too. It's fucking weird.
That's really funny. Yeah. Tell him not to watch the show. Anyways, in all seriousness, that's good to hear. But like, we've never had any interaction whatsoever. And like, whenever I'm talking to some of the other guys and like the other podcasters, whatever, we're having like private chats, whatever, or if we're in a group, like if we're going to discuss a show that we're doing. And then, like, Boom, for example, or someone else will drop, like, one of Jez's tweets in the thing and goes, guys, read this. We're going to be talking about it in the show. And I'm like, I can't. Can someone describe it to me? Because I couldn't read his tweets. And Boom's like, what the fuck, man? And he's like, get a hold of Rand and tell him to unblock you. And I'm like, I'll get Tony to do it. But anyways, that's where I stand on remakes.
Yeah, let's look at one of the recent ones, and it wasn't even a remake, a remaster, I guess you could say, like the Nintendo one, the Mario collection. Like, I get why they did it. It's capitalized on the 35th, and of course, there's a lot of generations who never played N64 and Mario 64, and perhaps even what do you call it, Galaxy games on the Wii for that example. So we can't forget about. There's lots of generations, but like, so Microsoft does it by allowing you to play those old games through backwards compatibility. You don't have to go out and reinvest in a freaking game all over again. So like, Microsoft is really forward thinking and doing it right, if you ask me, instead of double dipping on everybody constantly. When Nintendo and PlayStation seem to be kind of going backwards, where they're just trying to nickel and dime people at every All-Stars game. I said, I don't really have a principle so much with the fact that they made the game, but the thing was, they added nothing to it. The game had no it looked marginally better at best. There was nothing added. Like, to me, what would have been the biggest missed opportunities, they should have had a team go back and at least maybe like make the Mario game with like all new graphics, like the Mario 64. go back and give it like the Mario Odyssey style graphics, yeah, it would have took more work and stuff. But you know what? At least it would have kind of justified that freaking $79.99 Canadian price tag. Like those games on Nintendo should never be full price, and that goes for any of these that are just straight remasters. They got to be cheap. They can't come out at full price. That's ridiculous. I get why they do it, but again, and it's going to continue as long as people keep buying in, and we're all guilty of it. I know I'm certainly guilty of it because I already just told you guys I've had all the Mass Effect games in the past. I'm going to get them through this through the latest collection. Are they backwards? I think they're backwards compatible too, aren't they? All of the titles in Mass Effect, if I'm correct.
Yes, they are back.
Yeah, they're in EA Play right now.
Right, but I mean, they weren't back compat on the PS5 or 4.
That's right.
They were PS3 games. And they might be actually in PS Now, but I'm not sure.
Right. Yeah, but you see what I'm saying there. Like I said, some are hits, some are misses. I love the remakes. I love that. Like I said, the Gears of War Ultimate was basically a remake. The Resident Evil was basically a remake. That sort of stuff I can totally get behind. But just a quick, hey, let's put a few more pixels on the screen and call it a day. I don't know, man. It's a little bit insulting, to be honest with you. And like the Last of Us remaster was fine. It was full 1080p, I think, and ran and looked a little bit better than it did on the PS3. And like, does it really need to be made again? What are they going to do with it? Like, it's going to be 4K 60 this time? Like, if it is, it should have been just put in the PS4 version and have it run at 4K 60. Like Xbox is kind of dealing with a lot of the old games, but nope, that's not how they're running it. Anyway, any for final thoughts on that before we get out of here?
No, sir.
All right, we are at 10:20, so we are 20 minutes over the 2-hour mark. I will let our panel and guests get out of here because it is getting late. Let's start with our amazing guest who came in and really brought the heat tonight, guys. Randall Thor, bringing the heat as always. Yes, so Rand, let people know where they can catch up with you and your content. For those not acquainted, and I got to say, you got quite a following, Rand, because I think everybody in this chat came here fully knowing that who you were when you jumped on the show tonight, and it sounds like they thoroughly enjoyed your visit, and we did as well. So tell people where they can check up with you, your content, and of course your awesome Xbox 2 with Jez Corden.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Noof. It was great hanging with Titan and the mag. If you guys want to, check out the channel, youtube.com/RandallThor19, where we put out, mostly Xbox videos, 99%. Sometimes 2 days a week, sometimes 3, sometimes 4, depending on the news. And we do a podcast with Jez Corden, who recently unblocked Mag. So celebrate for that.
I just
usually on Friday, but sometimes on Saturday. It really just depends on our schedules. So yeah, it'd be cool if you checked it out. If not, I'm sure I'll see everybody around.
That's right. And don't forget, guys, when you do miss a podcast, I mean, I personally love to go live to podcasts because I like to interact with the chat and, of course, the host. But, you can check them out on the replay, too. So we always put them there and we always retweet them out. So just forget, if you don't miss it live, doesn't mean you can't catch it later. Fun speculations in the house. Man, what is going on, brother? How are you doing tonight? Glad you can make it here. Saw his wife, Caitlin, in the chat earlier. That is good stuff, guys. They're a fun group to watch as well. But anyway, let's get over to the panel and let's go with the man we know as the middle-aged game guy. Let people know where they can catch up with you.
Sir.
And, of course, tell them what's happening with you next week because you're not going to be here.
Yeah, might as well come clean with it, eh? But yes, in all seriousness, first things first.
Been no come at all.
Yeah. Oh, hey. Fantastic. Yes, you can follow me on Twitter at the middle-aged game guy, Jez Corden. And yes, you can follow me there. You can follow me on the Xbox Series X and, of course, the PlayStation 5 under all one word, all capitals, because I don't know how to be quiet. I am the Mag. That's correct. And you could find me here every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Gaming After Dark with Noof Nukem, Titan Drago, and always fine guests that we have on the show. And, of course, tonight we had the finest guest, Randall Thor. Yes, that's the one. And I got to tell you, guys, if you don't listen to Xbox 2, it is by far the best podcast out there. The only one I put up there next to it is the ILP, the Iron Lords podcast. And I got to tell you, when on my days off, all you hear in my house is Rand and Jez's voice, or you hear ILP playing in my house. So anyways, guys, it was a great show. Yes, you can find me Monday evenings, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Mr. Boomstick XL and friends on Primetime Gaming. And yes, guys, I will not be here next week, and I'm just going to come straight out clean and tell you, I am getting my balls snipped. I am getting a vasectomy next Tuesday. So I'm going to be laid out a little bit. So I will not be here next Tuesday night. And hence, if anybody in the chat was wondering about all the little snip jokes and everything else, and even Randall Tomato got in on it, he was all over it, cracking jokes. So, guys, anyways, have a good week next week. Have a good show. I will be listening in from my bed, and I will see you guys all in 2 weeks tonight. Everybody, have a great night.
We will have a special guest in his place next week. His name is Vasectomy Victor.
Hey guys, it's Vasectomy Victor here. This is how I sound after I get a vasectomy. I'll be back. All right, guys. Thank you. You have a good night now.
Maybe you could put him next to clitoris. Yeah. Vasectomy Victor and clitoris.
So the cleanest. Oh, great shit. And the man who brings the dumb back to ass, Mr. Titan Drago.
All right, so my winner for this week is none other than Jack Chaos. You know what? I got to give to him for the pun where he said someone could sell their toenails for what it costs Game Pass a month. I think he was referring to Cletus on that joke, but that was great either way. But also, whoever told Tony Baloney, hey, Tony, there's no consequences for this procedure. You, my man, are a witch doctor with words that convinced him of that, okay? I don't know who's better with words, that guy or the doctor in the chat, you know, who's got a girl's consent to record her eating his ass. So thanks for that, mental image doctor. But until next time, everybody, let's bring the common back to sense.
Well, it sounds like he's got consent, all right. Consent all over his fingers and on the camera.
Jesus.
Oh boy, on fire tonight. Woo! All right, DJ Berto Dawes dropping $2 more in the chat. His wallet is going broke this week. Mag, you pulling a Drago next week and a big smiley face. All right. Great show. And guys, you always know where to find Noof Nukem. Always in the gutter. Yes, it is Noof Nukem on Xbox, Noof Nukem 76 on the PlayStation Network. We will be back here the same time next week. We'll have probably a couple of guests, obviously in place of Mag, who will be missing for at least a week or so, and all that stuff. And last but not least, just a reminder, guys, that on May the 2nd, we will be unveiling my new podcast, which is going to be on Sunday mornings on this channel. It'll be at 9 a.m. Eastern, which is 7 a.m. my time. So I'm going to be waking up good and damn early. That's right. So get up, have your breakfast, and come hang out with us. It's called the Good Morning Xbox Podcast, Xbox-centric podcast, but we will talk about multiple topics if they are interesting enough. And I've got an amazing panel, which nobody knows about at this point in time. I will be unveiling them the day of the podcast. I hope to see you guys tune in. And to everybody, like I said, who stopped in tonight, to Mr. Kimo, what's going on? Pure Flack Monkey, Psychonauts, Jack Chaos, first time being here, loves the show already. Drew Zilm, Iceman, Cyber Gunta, the whole works. You guys, thank you so much. Cerebral Paul, what's going on? If you need an Italian, I'm here. Says Cerebral Paul, what's going on? Assassin Lupa. But again, all the chat, you guys are amazing. You're the real MVPs. Everybody has donated a super chat from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. But most importantly, it's the likes. The thumbs down, whichever you feel. We got one thumb down tonight, which is weird. I don't know if that was the automated Titan Drago thumb down we normally get or what.
Yeah, for sure.
But great stuff, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed Randall Thor's visit. We look forward to getting Rand back on the show in the near future. Certainly, if we can get him on when there's some really big, juicy topics, would love to have his brains weigh in on the matter. Always good times when Rand is here. Anyway, guys, take care. Have a good night. Stay safe. And to Meg, we wish you well next week, brother. We hope all will go well and smoothly for you. And we will definitely see you back here awaiting your return. That means if you're not here, that means Tony Baloney gets a week off. So there you go. He's going to need one after this week. He's been putting them out lately. Anyway, guys, hope you're enjoying all the segments and the laughs. We'll catch you guys later. Take care.
Maybe I made a parody of that down thumbs guy.